Hey everybody, you are tuning in to the Canary News Talk live stream pre-stream. Congratulations for being here a little early, and a big old congratulations to Rami over on YouTube for first comment of the day award. Woo! Okay, folks, we got a lot of good stuff for you today. It's going to be a great show, but I want to remind you. There are some rumblings and tumblings about the fact that you need to follow us on multiple streaming locations. Any day now, you could be sorry that you didn't. So make sure to follow us on both YouTube channels. That includes youtube.com/CanaryCryRadio. Follow us on DLIVE.tv/CanaryCryRadio, as well as twitch.tv/CanaryCryRadio. We're all over the place, folks, and we're gonna be in more places as well. We gotta keep on the move in this internet wasteland of censorship and shadow banning. So keep an eye on our social media and follow us in multiple locations, or else there's nothing I can do for you. You gotta take responsibility for yourself, folks. We could disappear at any moment from your favorite YouTube channel, so just make sure to future-proof yourself. Other than that, make sure to stay hydrated. It's very, very important. And I will be doing the same. And we can all do that together. We'll have a bathroom break in about 3 hours. Okay, folks, let's start the show.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy.
You are listening to Canary News Talk.
You're listening to Canary News Talk. Today is April 28th, 2021. This is episode 330. That's right. And today, it's the Crypto Rabbi. And you know me, I am your best buddy, Basil.
And this is Gonz, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Welcome to the podcast where we bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events. Welcome back, folks. The head is feeling better. The back is feeling okay.
Back in action.
Back in action, yep.
Okay. Well, I was going to talk about Twitch, but we have a whole story about it. I do want to remind everybody to like and subscribe and do all that sort of fun stuff.
Like, subscribe, bell button, all. Like, subscribe, bell button, all.
That's right. Very important to get that going in the first couple minutes of the show to harness the algorithms. You know, sometimes with the algorithms, it's like you got a tiger by the ears. You know, you just got to grab on and hold on and hope that you can keep it moving. But anyways, glad to hear you feeling better today, Gonz.
Yeah, and it looks like you figured out your video situation. People can see you move. You're not still on the screen anymore.
Yeah. I'm back in action. It took, it was a little irritating. It ended up being a very easy fix. It had to do with my incredibly horrible internet connection. But just a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Got it going. We are back in movement action, folks. You can see these big googly eyes jitter around as I try to bring the news.
Well, we're going to kick it off here with some clips because the big news, Basil, Vax on, mask off.
Whoa.
Starting today, if you're fully vaccinated and you're outdoors, you need, and not in a big crowd, you no longer need to wear a mask. I want to be absolutely clear. If you're in a crowd, like a stadium or at a conference or a concert, you still need to wear a mask, even if you're outside. The CDC is able to make this announcement because our scientists are convinced by the data that the odds of getting or giving the virus to others is very, very low if you're both been fully vaccinated and out in the open air. The bottom line is clear. If you're vaccinated, you can do more things more safely, both outdoors as well as indoors.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so two-class system. Those with the jab, those
Yes.
without the jab.
We've got the I love how this big new freedom that vaccinated people have is that they don't have to wear a mask when they're alone outside. It's like, dude, nobody is wearing a mask if they're alone outside.
Yeah,
People
so
with COVID outside and alone are not wearing a mask.
we're gonna we'll get back to Biden in a second here, but this is I wanted to play a couple clips of there was a White House CDC presser yesterday, and this is where Walensky of the CDC announced the mask thing, the update here, and there's just some interesting things that she said that really does play into like this class system here of the jabbed and unjabbed.
If you are fully vaccinated, things are much safer for you than those who are not yet fully vaccinated.
Yeah, be scared, Basil. You're not vaccinated. I'm not vaccinated.
For you. That's the whole point. If you get vaccinated, you should be safer. It's not about other people.
No. And somebody asked Walensky about the size of the crowds. They were like, "Can you clarify the size? Like, what are you talking about? What size crowd and all this?" And this is what she said.
I think we should get back to the general concepts. Small and medium-sized gatherings for people who are outside and vaccinated can safely be done without a mask. But we really do want people who are unvaccinated to limit the interaction with people and to go back to the basic principles of increased ventilation and increased spacing for any given size.
So again, if you're not vaccinated, don't talk to anyone.
It's kind of a flip-flop on the logic too.
Yeah.
They just said, if you are vaccinated, you are safe. But if you are not vaccinated, you might harm someone who is vaccinated. What?
It doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And I don't. They keep talking about the science, of course, but again, the science is really wishy-washy on that stuff too. And we'll have a story on that in the WACCINE section proper. But then Walensky was asked about the impending doom. Do you remember a few weeks ago? She was like, "I sense impending doom."
Yeah, when she went quote unquote off script
to
talk about how she feels impending doom, and she was still reading a script.
Yeah, and I think this response, you can tell she's not exactly reading from the script. You can tell.
Several weeks ago, when I had this feeling of impending doom, and I articulated that, and I had case rates going up, vaccinations growing, but not where we needed to be. And deaths continuing to climb. As I look at the curve now, it's stabilizing, it's coming down. The vaccinations have continued to grow in an extraordinary way. I think we really do need to get more and more people vaccinated. As Kristen noted, we need to sort of combat the hesitancy that is out there, meet people where they are, and encourage everyone to get vaccinated.
Just keep pushing the more vaccine. She didn't really answer the thing other than saying, I was looking at this is basically what she was saying. I'm looking at a computer screen with data coming in, and a few weeks ago it was impending doom, and now I'm encouraged because the curve is flattened.
Well, I like the term the vaccines continue to grow.
Yeah, vaccines continue to grow.
The vaccines are growing?
Yeah, I got
the whole team needs to stay on script.
Part of it too, I don't know what the internet connection is with the CDC and these government officials, but there was a few times when it was cutting in and out. It's like, look, if you and I can do a live stream, and we've had our issues with our streaming, we've had to kind of drop the bit rate and stuff like that. But if we can pull it off and we're coming in fairly clear, I'm sure the CDC,
without the resources of the federal government to.
Yeah, I think they can pull off a better stream, but there was a lot of freezing and a lot of issues with this live stream.
Ours is even better. We have the resources of producers.
I know.
We don't need the federal government.
That's true.
For our live streams, baby. Take that, CDC.
Yeah.
Walensky.
Here's a 15-second clip of Biden really, he's speaking to you and I, Basil, and anybody out there who has not gotten the vaccine.
For those who haven't gotten their vaccination yet, especially if you're younger or think you don't need it, this is another great reason to go get vaccinated. Now.
Now.
He does that thing. I think he thinks he's sounding earnest and like patriarchal, but fatherly. Like he's giving a fatherly urge. But it, just really makes me want to, I don't know, go smoke crack or something. Okay, low blow. I'm sorry. That was a low blow.
Hey.
I didn't mean that.
He was joking, folks.
That was
it was a joke.
It's a joke.
Hey, easy.
Something did come to mind. I think Walensky, as the director of the CDC, I think a good nickname is the Director of Doom.
Oh, yeah.
The impending doom lady. She's the Director of Doom. So we got to write that down.
Yeah.
Yes, Walensky, who I already have a problem remembering her name, but I think we can remember Director of Doom.
Director of Doom and growing vaccines. This part was really kind of, I just have this because it was kind of funny. It made me laugh. I don't know. But Joe finishes his presser here. He's about to walk off. He puts on his cool shades and he gets asked 2 questions. And, anyway, I'll just play it.
Mr. President, if the risk is so low outdoors, why doesn't it apply to everybody?
Wait, would you have any preconditions before meeting with Vladimir Putin?
Shades on.
One at a time.
If the risk is so low outdoors, why doesn't this new guidance apply to everybody?
Because the science indicates that the most certain way to make sure it doesn't spread if both people have been vaccinated, the people you're with, and you're outside.
And you chose to wear a mask, sir. You chose to wear a mask. You chose to wear a mask as you walked out here. What message were you sending by wearing a mask outside alone?
I'm watching me take it off and not put it back on till I get inside.
What?
I don't know.
What?
I don't know what he's talking about. Something about.
Do we know who the reporter is who's
No,
speaking?
I don't.
First of all, he's kind of annoying, but I guess you have to be to get your questions answered. But it is an interesting sort of look into this report. I want to know who this reporter is. There's only a handful of these White House guys who show up. But yeah, the question of, we saw you wearing a mask outside walking here. What message were you trying to point out? He's almost walking the line on like, hey, we know this is all theater. So what exactly is the message? Because we don't get it.
Yeah.
We don't. Just tell us. What was Biden's response?
You want to hear it again?
Yeah, I do.
That the most certain way to make sure it doesn't spread if both people have been vaccinated, the people you're with, and you're outside.
And you chose to wear a mask, sir. You chose to wear a mask. You chose to wear a mask as you walked out here. What message were you sending by wearing a mask outside alone?
By watching me take it off and not put it back on till I get inside.
Oh my gosh. What
The message
message were you sending by walking out with a mask alone? And his message was so you could watch me take it off and not put it back on.
Well, put it back on when I get inside.
Yeah.
Why are you putting it back on when you're back inside? You're vaccinated, so you in a crowd inside?
I don't think he had a planned answer. I think he's just sort of trying to mumble an answer. Kind of interesting, though. I'd love to hear, a feminist's response to that reporter, basically shouting down the woman trying to ask a question. You would have been, you would have worn a mask, and you can hear her talking, and he just starts yelling it louder. Like, hello, don't you know you're supposed to let the ladies ask the questions first, mister?
Stomp on the woman. And, he responded about India. But also, I wanted to go back to this White House presser. Fauci was in this too. Fauci didn't say too many things that were too exciting. But this host guy, he was talking about the AstraZeneca vaccine. And I just thought it was very interesting and kind of eugenic-y. If I can call it that, a little eugenic-y.
Is this regarding India?
It's regarding India, and it's regarding
Okay.
AstraZeneca.
The AstraZeneca vaccine is highly safe and effective and approved in many parts of the world. And since it is not approved for use in the U.S., we do not need to use the AstraZeneca vaccine here during the next few months. We have sufficient supply of vaccines from Pfizer, Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson to accommodate our needs in the U.S.
Yeah, because
Please
nobody wants
make
it.
an appointment. Your risk from being unvaccinated is too high.
So there you go. Since we have a lot of AstraZeneca vaccines or other vaccines, and it's not approved here, so let's go ahead and ship them off to India.
Yeah. Okay.
Ugh.
Yeah, still weird, man. Still weird.
Still
Don't
weird.
like
And
it.
also, I just wanted to include this because, no agenda has been on top of this, but I caught one. I don't know. Adam Curry may play this or not. I don't know. It's not too intense, but people have been messing up vaccine with virus when they talk.
Yeah.
He
catches himself, though, but, he wanted to say it.
I think it's important that we respect everybody's decision-making process. And the person that you spoke about, our advice to them is talk to your doctor, talk to your pharmacist, talk to people you trust, talk to people who've taken the vaccine. And I think the picture that emerges is 130 million Americans, hundreds of millions more overseas, significant differences in their safety and the risk of these viruses, particularly the variants, is just too high.
The risks of these viruses, the risk is too high.
Oh, he almost said vaccines.
The risks of the vaccines, yeah. He almost said it. He almost said it.
They can't help themselves, man.
Nope. But also this.
Nazi fags.
Oh, jeez.
Just
the words of our president.
We're not saying a thing.
Don't repeat that, people and kids. It's not nice.
It's nothing good to say.
But, he's a liberal, so he's allowed to say that type of stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, are you good? Should we check in with our favorite robotic arm?
Sure.
Flippy update. Do you want fries with that?
Okay, folks, we're going to talk about Flippy for a second. For those who don't know or are new to the show, Flippy is the colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a proxy conversation to talk about how all the new, fun, and exciting ways that robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today, and bear with me here, but this is coming from DVids Hub.
Defense Visual Information Distribution Service.
Yes, so very official. Defense Visual Information Distribution Service. The headline is UT spinoff to demonstrate robot arm for Futures Command.
Army Futures Command.
Yes, Arm for Army. Arm for Army Futures Command. So here we go. We've got militarized Flippy coming down the pipeline. Austin startup Apptronik. Great name for a startup. Apptronik has created a robotic arm resulting from an innovative project model to increase how fast artillery pieces fire and are resupplied. The company will demonstrate the potentially game-changing arm on April 30th at its Stone Hollow Drive facility. Austin-based Army Applications Laboratory, AAL, a subordinate organization of Army Futures Command, AFC, ran the Army's first ever cohort program for solution development, from which Apptronik was selected to continue development of its prototype. The cohort brought 6 tech companies together to solve one of the service's highest priority problems: how to resupply self-propelled cannons faster. AAL's approaches to incentivize industry work with the Army have resulted in record-breaking numbers of applications from businesses like Apptronik and a number of Army firsts. AAL's Field Artillery Autonomous Resupply Cohort model is one of the ways that the Army Futures Command engages tech companies to find solutions for the Army's modernization efforts. General John M. Mike Murray, AFC Commanding General, Journal will give opening remarks shortly before the demonstration begins. During the event, Apptronik will showcase the prototype's ability to grasp and lift multiple inert artillery rounds and backup manual controls soldiers can use if the autonomous controls do not work. Oh, geez. Okay. Well, at least they've got a backup plan if Flippy goes haywire. According to the Apptronik team, their robotic arm weighs approximately 200 pounds and can lift well over its own weight in munitions and autonomously resupply the Army's artillery ammunition supply vehicle. Quote, "We are very excited to see the continued evolution of Apptronik's robotics capabilities that have grown out of the actuator technology originally developed for the likes of NASA and others. Now, that technology has enabled another breakthrough in robotics with our large-scale logistics arm for robotic arm ammunition resupply, RAAR, or RAR," said Apptronik co-founder and CEO Dr. Nicholas Payne, who started the firm in 2016 after working at the University of Texas at Austin's Human-Centered Robotics Lab. Oh, he went from human-centered robotics to human-killing robotics overnight. That's great.
Pain.
There's not much more sort of. Let me hit this one. Okay. Apptronik developed this prototype in only 9 months of a 2-year contract. Payne said the arm being demonstrated is a breakthrough that will continue to enable new applications not previously possible and is the foundation for Apptronik's work on the next generation of mobile artificial intelligence-based robots. He said Apptronik's mission is to develop robots for the age of AI that will do the work humans don't want to do, like loading up missiles. Fundamentally reshaped. Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. It keeps going on about interesting military uses for Flippy, specifically trying to. It's basically a PR piece for Apptronik. So
yeah,
there's not much more to go into. But there you go. Flippy, our good buddy Flippy, has gone from the burger fryer, the burger grill, to the Army.
He was recruited.
Flippy got drafted.
No. I was hoping to find video footage or images or something of this arm, but there's literally nothing, even at the AAL.Army website, that I can find. So if anyone can find something. Well, it's
not supposed to be. I mean, maybe there's going to be some video of this demonstration later. That happens tomorrow, Friday, a
couple days, the
30th, So I don't know. Yeah, if any video comes out, we should definitely show it. But it's an interesting thing for especially longtime listeners to note, because as we've always like to point out in these, whether it's Flippy or some other robotic technology, it always starts out nice and friendly, for medical use or for flipping burgers, but inevitably gets put to work in some sort of military service. So there you go. Flippy's going to be available in camo and we'll be able to autonomously, again, this is not just this is not nothing. This is an autonomous robot here to reload the artillery. Now, to be fair, I think he's just loading up missiles into or ammunition into a truck or something. But
Oh, I thought he was going to reload the muskets in the line of fire.
Yeah, just like the forefathers intended.
All right. So, we'll keep an eye on.
This would make a great TV show. He was just a burger flipping robot, but then he got drafted. Now he kills humans.
This is like an 80s sitcom song. Yeah, that explains like the setting of the show.
Adventures of, his life was going nowhere. He was just an autonomous burger flipping robot living in his mom's laboratory in the basement. And then becomes an all-American hero.
I like it. And then he gets recruited by the Russians. I think that'll be good.
Oh, yes. Then there's
good plot twist.
There's a Russian autonomous arm.
Oh, yeah.
Who
female.
Who's like a trained assassin and is much more deadly and better.
Yeah.
And then
seduces Flippy. The American.
It's honey potted.
Let me see you. Well, I can't do the Russian accent anyway. I was going to try to do some Russian
Look at
flipping.
you, American burger flipping robots, so strong. You will help little old Bianca robot.
Bianca robot. Okay.
I don't know where this is going, but you guys get the point.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah, we'll keep an eye on this, and if anybody sees footage on it, definitely send it over. We'll share it. Okay, we are going to get into the story that has to do with the title of this episode.
Just merely mentioning Israel or questioning in any way Israel's policies is not the same thing as being pro-Hamas.
The Zionist pig!
Really getting in trouble. I sent you the image for today's show, and you just went, "Oh my gosh!" You just went, "Oh boy, oh
no, here we go."
NewYorkPost.com. Jerusalem rabbi accused of being covert Christian missionary from New Jersey.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Huh.
It says here, a Jerusalem rabbi.
Spy? Rabbi Spy. It's
Rabbi.
another TV show.
Another TV show. Was born in New Jersey. Okay. A Jerusalem rabbi who's suspected of being an undercover Christian missionary from New Jersey is getting a one-way ticket out of Israel and, depending on your spiritual beliefs, a possible first-class booking into heaven. All right, okay. New York Post.
Wow, yeah, nice, New York Post.
His family had allegedly spent years assimilating into an ultra-Orthodox community in the Holy City, becoming so embedded that the so-called cleric had even been known to perform marriage rites for the couples, according to Israel's nonprofit missionary watchdog organization, Beinenu. The missionary's ulterior position? Converting members of the Jewish faith to Christianity, the watchdog group claimed. Quote, get out of here, pop-up. Quote, the family has been under surveillance for at least 7 years. 7 years of surveillance.
Did you ever have the feeling that you were being watched?
Said Beinenu researcher Shannon Newsom in a statement to ultra-Orthodox website Behadre Haredim. Quote, we've been investigating the case of a covert missionary in French Hill for many years, but moved to expose him now due to, quote, due to one of the missionary's children proselytizing in school. Oh, can't do that. The rabbi's wife, or Rebbitzin in Yiddish, was also known to play an active role in the down-low religious takeover plot. The religious takeover plot. In part of subverting Jewish social media with Christian themes, according to Beinenu, which was reported that the woman in fact died in 2020 and was buried in a Jewish cemetery.
Okay.
And there's a picture of, I guess, the guy, and his face is all blurred out.
Yeah.
Quote, we are confident that the Jewish leaders will act strongly against this threat and quickly put protective measures in place to protect the Jewish community, Beinenu announced in a statement. In 2014, the group first confronted the unnamed Christian mole, who then, quote, disappeared from their sites until recently, having since reemerged in a new neighborhood, according to The Guardian, which pointed out that missionary work is not illegal in Israel. However, there is a ban on preaching or bribing to convert any person age 18 or under without parental consent.
Whoa, that is interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah, I mean, I actually think they loosened up on this too, because at a certain point, there was a law that you can't preach at all. Like if you're a Christian, especially if you're on like the steps of certain holy places, you're not allowed to even like hand out Christian tracts or anything like that. So maybe
how
just
bribing to convert is included in that law.
Yeah. The status of a, quote, Gentile rabbi came to light after Behadre Haredim reported that his 13-year-old daughter told a schoolmate that Jesus, quote, accepts everyone even if they are wrong, according to The Guardian. Can't have that. Accepts everyone? Blasphemy. Behadre Haredim claimed the family is originally from an unnamed New Jersey town and immigrated to Israel using fraudulent identities and travel documents telling authorities they were the family of Holocaust survivors.
Ooh, that's
Quote,
a little bit of like stolen valor almost.
Yeah. Quote, until now, we kept it quiet because we did not want the father to move to another neighborhood to carry on his work, and we wanted to work to get his citizenship revoked, said Yoni Kaiman, a community member involved in Beinenu's investigation, the Times of Israel reported. Jewish law allows for Jews born anywhere in the world to be Israeli citizens if they can prove their ethnicity. Jerusalem's Channel 13 news station aired a video interview with the accused man, who told them the allegations are, quote, a lie. Quote, I was born Jewish, he said, and added that he, quote, repented for his past missionary work 7 or 8 years ago. The news network also quoted a community member as saying their neighbors were, quote, in great shock over the controversy. Meanwhile, Beinenu said they have found, quote, no sign or proof that the family has Jewish roots.
This is very strange. I mean, there's a lot of things that I did not know. I didn't know it was like illegal to proselytize or evangelize, I guess, 18 years or younger. Did not know bribing into salvation was even a thing, or bribing to convert, I guess. That's interesting. You know, Israel is sort of presented as this very modern, very progressive place or country, socially especially.
Yeah.
But yeah, this seems like it's almost like an old sort of esoteric law that might be on the books. But the fact that it's being not just, prosecuted or whatever, but that is like a 7-year investigation. Like they really care enough to follow this guy for 7 years. That is interesting. I don't know if I have anything else to say. That's bizarre.
Well, a couple things. Obviously, from the Christian perspective, I'm wondering because, part of it is like if you can't have a conversation and, part of the apologetics of Christianity is to, there's like a logic side, there's a conversation side of defending the faith. And if you can't, you can't force anybody to believe anything really, but if you can't have a conversation to drive your points, then I don't know that infiltrating an entire, a rabbinical infrastructure is necessarily, the greatest way to get people to convert. Number one, I don't know. What are your thoughts on that? My opinion is that not the greatest thing to do. I mean, you're obviously this guy was caught at a certain point, and
well, it sounds like there's a lot of deception involved.
Right. I just I don't know.
It's probably not the best foundation to a ministry, a soul-winning ministry.
Right. Although he may have been coming from a place of trying to get people saved and stuff, but I do think there are lines that you can cross, and just imposing in that way is a little bit weird to me. So I can understand the Jewish leadership being like, wait a minute, you performed weddings, like we brought you into our community, and you're a spy for Christ. It's just a weird thing. But on the other hand, it's like, well, trying to preach the gospel and do it, I guess, in a way that an unorthodox way. Can't really fault him for the intentions.
Well, I mean, the law saying that it's illegal to preach to, preach with the intention to convert somebody who's under 18. If you imagine that in the United States, it's like, I think a lot of people sort of have their first introduction to Christianity maybe when like their friend invites them to a youth group or something.
Right.
That technically, I don't know if they would enforce it this strongly, but that seems like it would technically be against this law.
Yeah. It's interesting to take a look, and just wanted to report it because this guy was a crypto rabbi, crypto Christian, I guess.
Rabbi spy. No. Interesting.
I mean,
well,
the other part, well, just to wrap it up here, the other possibility is that if he did find something, nefarious going on in the rabbinical leadership, then it would be another reason to get,
Yeah, well, that would be a whole nother thing. Yeah, I mean, maybe he wasn't necessarily there to do the preaching. I mean, maybe he is doing some sort of other spying.
Yeah, he's an intel. Yeah, he's an intelligence.
Yeah,
intelligence guy posing, and he just happened to be a Christian from New Jersey. And he got called out, or the Mossad found out, and it could be
CIA or something. Just
that's what I'm saying.
CIA guy embedded in the rabbinical system, and maybe they are generally Christian, and the kid just let it out at school or something. Yeah, maybe they thwarted a CIA plan.
Yeah, it's possible. Do you know anybody from New Jersey, or have known anybody from New Jersey?
Yeah,
I love their accent. Really. I was when I was a kid, I stayed with somebody from New Jersey, and I don't know why. Within like 2 days, I started talking like a New Jerseyan. I had that like hey.
Oh yeah, nothing better than an Asian with a New Jersey accent.
Yeah. All right. Well, we got one more along those same lines here of Zionists.
Okay. Yeah, this is coming from Israel365news.com. And the headline, New Lawmaker Vows Full Israeli Control Over Temple Mount. Dun, dun, dun. Those are fighting words. Freshman Knesset member Itamar Ben Gvir, religious Zionism, was recently sworn into the Israeli parliament on Monday. During his opening speech, Ben Gvir lamented the hesitancy of the Israeli government to assert full sovereignty over Jerusalem, and more specifically the Temple Mount, saying, quote, I will act to ensure that Israeli control returns to Jerusalem and to the Temple Mount specifically. Ben Gvir connected his promise to the recent Muslim-instigated riots throughout Jerusalem and have taken place since the beginning of Ramadan, saying, quote, so that images we saw the other day of thugs beating police officers and shouting Hamas, Hamas, while proclaiming we are the owners, these images will not be heard nor seen. Ben Gvir also spoke about the need to teach Israeli children values and morality alongside academic subjects like math and science. He also called on the need to reform the justice system that he accused of being corrupt. Toward the end of his address, Ben Gvir spoke about the prophet Amos and how his words relate to the nation of Israel today. Quote, I will restore my people, Yisrael. They shall rebuild ruined cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine. They shall till gardens and eat their fruits. Amos 9:14. Quote, the nation of Israel lives, he continues. In an exclusive interview with Ben Gvir in 2019, Israel 365 News revealed that he and his party have come out openly in favor of building the third temple. And that's the end of the article. Yeah, this guy, I mean, they called him religious Zionism. Mm-hmm. I guess, what is that, a party or just a category or something? I guess, just a Zionist, which was kind of the equivalent to like a nationalist type of thing in the U.S., but of course there's a religious bent to it there. Is this connected at all to all the talks about that the Jewish Messiah is here and Ben Shapiro's gonna
usher him in? He's gonna report on it. Yeah, it could be. It could be. I know we've gotten several emails from people saying like, "Hey, have you guys covered the story?" The problem, I guess, is one, there's certain rabbis that have always said that. Like every few years, the Messiah's here. They don't exactly name who all the time. I guess they named somebody in recent weeks.
Did they actually name him? I know they said that they had him and they're talking to him and he's around. And
but they've been saying that for a while though. They've been talking about stuff like that.
I feel like they say that every year or two.
Every year, it's literally like a decades long thing for them to say that, like, our Messiah's here. So I'm not exactly sure, but regardless, part of my views on some of this stuff, in especially Jerusalem, if you go into Daniel 11 and you look at the concept, Chris White did a great job in his book, The False Christ. Will the Antichrist present himself as the Jewish Messiah? And part of the narrative, or part of the understanding there, is that they are going to, or the Antichrist will sort of defend Israel and destroy all the surrounding nations. Mm-hmm. And you talk about the Temple Mount currently controlled by Islam, right? So if a Jew comes in militarily and takes out basically the Islamic control over Jerusalem and seizes control, that's pretty eschatological. I'm not saying that that's exactly fulfillment, but it's fairly Daniel 11-esque. And he comes into the beautiful land and
the building of the third temple.
The building of the third temple. He'll honor the God of fortresses, the God his fathers did not know. And it's consistent with 2 Thessalonians 2, where the Antichrist exalts himself above God and all this kind of stuff. So it's a bit, I don't know, it's a setup for sure for that kind of thing. And, we got to just keep an eye on the Holy Land there, because a lot of the biblical prophecies has to do with that area geographically as well as geopolitically. And given the current climate, I think it's interesting, and we'll keep an eye on it, and we'll know for sure. I mean, I know some people don't agree that the Antichrist will present himself as the Jewish Messiah. Some people believe he's going to be, out of America, a president, or, from Syria, or the Pope. And the Pope, I think most people agree that the Pope is kind of a false prophet character. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, it's kind of, it's a pastime, I would say, of Christians online to try to figure out who fits the bill, the next president, whatever. I think it's kind of a fruitless endeavor in that sense. It's better to try to grasp what the Bible says about all this, but I don't know. I think it's something to keep an eye on. And given the combination of this story and the rabbi from Jerusalem being ousted, I don't know, starting to sound like a pretty epic Bible-related TV action drama,
Well, Gon, speaking of fruitless endeavors, let's talk about the WACCINE.
Oh, gosh.
WACCINE.
We're taking things that are genetically modified organisms and we're injecting them in little kids' arms. We just shoot them right into the vein.
Shoot them. Salon.com. I'm thinking of Jerusalem. Mm-hmm. Bill Gates says no to sharing vaccine formulas with global poor to end pandemic.
Oh, this was great. Yeah. Love this. Old Billy Gates, who's, just has such a compassionate heart and philanthropic goal in mind. Just wants to save all the children of the world. Suddenly has a change of heart.
Bill Gates, one of the world's richest men and most powerful philanthropists, was the target of criticism from social justice campaigners on Sunday after arguing that lifting patent protections on COVID-19 vaccine technology and sharing recipes with the rest of world to foster a massive ramp up in manufacturing and distribution, despite a growing international call to do exactly that, is a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
Directly asked during an interview with Sky News if he thought it, quote, would be helpful to have vaccine recipes be shared, Gates quickly answered, no.
That is such a crazy... This is... I don't know if a normal person really realizes how big of a deal this is. The question was, would it be helpful to share the recipe? And his answer is no, it would not be helpful. Why wouldn't it be helpful? Because it's about money. It always was about money. And Bill Gates pretty much just said it plain and simple. The whole vaccine thing is about money, not actually about saving people.
Yeah, and this is actually directly against what Biden said in the presser yesterday, because he was talking about, we want to send out the technology for people to build their own vaccines, and ultimately we want to send out the vaccines too. So that was part of his speech. So little turmoil up in the ivory towers there.
Mm-hmm.
Asked to explain why not, Gates, whose massive fortune as founder of Microsoft relies largely on intellectual property laws that turn his software innovations into tens of billions of dollars in personal wealth, said, quote, "Well, there's only so many vaccine factories in the world, and people are very serious about the safety of vaccines. And so moving something that had never been done, moving a vaccine, say, from a Johnson & Johnson factory into a factory in India, it's novel. It's only because of our grants and expertise that can happen at all."
Which is not an answer.
No, it's not.
It does not answer the question.
The reference is to the Serum Factory in India, the largest such institute in the country, which has contracts with AstraZeneca to manufacture their COVID-19 vaccine, known internationally as Covishield. Covishield. The thing that's holding, quote, things back in terms of the global vaccine rollout, continued Gates, quote, is not intellectual property. It's not like there's some idle vaccine factory with regulatory approval that makes magically safe vaccines.
Oh my gosh. The irony.
I know. You've got to do the trial on these things. Every manufacturing process needs to be looked at in a very careful way.
Yeah, and we couldn't possibly do that. So no, we won't share it with anybody. It's like, yeah, it does need to be done in a very careful way. Have we done that yet? What's the deal?
Well, according to Fauci, the speed at which we were able to roll out the mRNA vaccines is not because we just did it on the fly, but because of decades of research that have been done. Yeah. Critical advocates for robust and immediate change to intellectual property protections at the World Trade Organization when it comes to the COVID-19 vaccines, however, issued scathing indictments of Gates's defense of the status quo. Mm-hmm. This is pretty wild. This is like the World Organization's turning on Gates. I wonder if this is a way for them to get rid of it. Because Gates, obviously, having him at the forefront of the messaging has not worked. So this could be their way of let's get him out of here.
So what it is, and this is something that needs to be kept in mind, especially people who are paying attention. There's a tendency to say that your pro-vaccine Democrat friend is in league with the elites in order to take over the world with vaccines, or whatever version of that, kind of comes to mind. Bill Gates and those like him are using people. They're using ideological lines and exploiting divisions and generally good-hearted people that believe that, they're saving the world by getting their own vaccine or telling other people to do otherwise. It's just a sort of ideological group that Gates is using in order to get the vaccine out there, to secure the economic benefits of being Bill Gates and connected to the vaccines. He said himself, I forget what it was. It was like the profit. You can profit $22 per dollar on vaccines, on vaccine investments and things like that. And of course, he has a big hand in the whole Moderna popularity and some economic connections, but at risk of fake news, I won't bother going through them. But yeah, this is as happens occasionally. An elite person will use and manipulate a group of people, but when they don't follow through, when they don't walk the talk, these human beings have a tendency to call them out on their nonsense.
Yeah. There's a tweet here from Dr. Tara Van Ho. It says, Gates speaks as if all the lives being lost in India are inevitable, but eventually the West will help, when in reality the US and UK are holding their feet on the neck of developing states by refusing to break TRIPS protection. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Dr.
Interesting.
Tara Van Ho, what she should have done is, instead of feet on the neck, she should have done knee on the neck.
Well, I kind of thought that's what she was doing.
I think she was trying to, but she should have said knee.
Gotta say knee.
Would have been a little bit
interesting. Speaks as if the lives being lost in India are inevitable. That's exactly what they said about Trump. When he said it's unfortunate, but people are going to die. It's a pandemic that sort of happens. And they're like, oh my gosh, he just wants everybody to die.
Yeah, well, now Gates is in the well, they need somebody to hate. Maybe
That's what
Bill
happens.
Gates is the next Trump in terms in terms of scapegoating the media's bad guy, the boogeyman.
That would be a delicious turn of events, if only I could be so optimistic.
Nick Dearden, executive director of Global Justice Now, one of the lead partner groups in an international coalition calling for WTO patent waivers, at a crucial meeting of the world body next month, characterized Gates' remarks and the ideological framework behind them as disgusting. Who appointed this billionaire head of global health? Asked Dearden. Oh yeah, he did. Hey,
I love how these generally liberal people and organizations are finally. I mean, you could have lifted that quote straight from Canary Cry episode.
Not just Canary Cry, but the entire community of like anti-vax skeptic people.
I tried to tell you.
They've been saying that for since this thing started.
Yeah,
Literally, the people on my timeline have been like, "Who made Bill Gates the boss of all this stuff?"
Right.
Interesting.
And now Global Justice Now.
Yeah, they're stealing the thunder of the truthers there. Mm-hmm. Journalist Stefan Birani, who on Saturday wrote an in-depth Guardian column on the urgent need for the patent waivers and technology sharing, offered a similarly negative view of the billionaire's, quote, awful arguments against sharing the vaccine technology. Gates charged Birani, quote, acts like an optimist, but has a truly dismal vision of the world. I mean, they're really going after him.
How is that even a comeback? Like,
I don't know.
No, it's not necessarily a dismal vision of the world. It's a dismal vision of you, Billy.
During the Sky News interview, Gates said it was, quote, not completely surprising that the richest nations like US, UK, and others in Europe vaccinated their populations first. He said that made sense because the pandemic was worse in those countries. Why was it worse in the more rich countries?
Mind control.
Yeah. But said he believed that, quote, within 3 or 4 months, the vaccine allocation will be getting to all the countries that have the very severe epidemic. You can watch the full interview
here. The E word, not the P word.
Yeah. He's trying to change it up.
The very severe epidemic.
The very severe epidemic.
This is just like trying so hard not to use the word pandemic. It's very strange.
Very strange, and but also not surprising. They need somebody to kick around. And I think they probably did some like surveys as well of how the liberals and progressive, how much they actually liked Bill Gates. And I think a lot of people were like, not the biggest fan of Bill Gates.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that they're starting to wake up about it, because of course you've got those like the Bernie Bros or something. Billionaires should not exist.
Right.
Oh, except for Bill Gates, because he's great and saving the world, and I do everything he tells me.
He's such a great person. He's the best philanthropist in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, philanthropist is like, I don't know. I feel like anybody who's labeled themselves philanthropist is doing so just to avoid, because usually they're rich.
They just want to get the points. It's social justice points, just like anything else. And you can claim it as a vocation.
Right.
It's
what I do for a living now. I've
really
accomplished everything else that I needed to accomplish in this life, so now I'm here. I'm all about saving people's lives.
Well, and the ironic part is it is a vocation, because as we know about the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, it's basically just an investment company, and they do make. Now, the word profit is not the correct word because it goes into the foundation, but it's a continually growing amount of money because this version of philanthropist is a vocation. They use business strategies to grow money and just do investments in stuff they can call philanthropy.
Now I know what the director of Doom was saying. The vaccines are growing. I get it.
Director of Doom, yes. The vaccine bank accounts are growing.
That's what she was talking about. That's why she's like, oh, if you got it, you can take off your masks because my bank account is looking good.
Well, speaking of...
one more point real quick. We did report a few weeks ago, it's been several weeks now, about how a lot of the mRNA vaccine technology is patented by the NIAID, the NIAID part of NIH. And we outlined how, the U.S. government, or at least this arm of it, has the patent to the technology working with Moderna, and then they bought a bunch of Moderna vaccines.
Right.
So,
it's a scam. I mean, it's a
total scam.
It's a weird little scam where they're making money on their own, purchasing their own items.
Yeah.
So speaking of vaccine bank accounts, let's check in on Pfizer over here at telegraph.co.uk. The headline, revealed how a single pill home cure for COVID could be available this year.
Anybody read Brave New World?
Well, it's hilarious because it's like, okay, we've pretty much vaxxed everybody who's going to get vaxxed. Nobody wants it now. So now we can tell them about the cure, the actual therapeutic, the pill you can take to solve your COVID problems. Okay, so there you go. Revealed how a single pill home cure for COVID could be available this year at 2 anonymous Pfizer buildings,
Mysterious.
One in the U.S. Yeah, love it. One in the U.S. and one in Belgium. A remarkable experiment is underway. Up to 60 volunteers, all clean living adults aged between 18 and 60, are being given the first pill specifically designed to stop SARS-CoV-2. If the trial is successful, it is just possible that a home cure for COVID-19 will become available later this year. This year, Gonzo.
Hey, what does it mean to be clean living adults? Is that like they shower every day or what?
Yeah, I know. I'm assuming in this context it means like not drug addicts or something. But yes, that's a vague term and could mean any number of things.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister, who announced the formation of a UK antivirals task force last week, specifically to invest in such products, will no doubt be scanning his text messages for early updates. The molecule being tested is a bespoke antiviral codenamed PF07321332. 33. 2232. Great code name, by the way. They can just call it.
That'll really catch on. Yay, did you get the PF07321332? Totally, bro.
It's like a weird social security number. Classed as a, quote, protease inhibitor. It has been formulated to attack the spine, in quotes, of the SARS-CoV-2 virus and stop it replicating in our noses, throats, and lungs. It was protease inhibitors and that turned the tide on the spread of HIV in the UK and around the world. Now researchers hope they may be on the brink of a similar pandemic-busting breakthrough. Interesting about these protease inhibitors and HIV because you don't hear it so much lately, but in a lot of the breakdowns of the COVID, they found what I don't want to mischaracterize it, but I think it's inevitable because I'm not a antiviral scientist. But wasn't there like mechanisms within SARS-CoV-2 that resembled HIV mechanisms?
Yeah, people were testing positive for HIV when they were being tested for COVID. So there's some kind of connection there. And I think I remember John C. Dvorak of No Agenda kind of jokingly mentioned it, and then like a few weeks later they were like, oh yeah, for sure, HIV. It's got the same, I don't want to misspeak either.
I don't know
exactly
either. It's some sort of mechanism that, yes, people were getting false positives on HIV tests because of COVID. Alternatively, I don't know if did we cover the story where women who were getting the vaccine were getting false breast cancer tests?
Oh, I didn't see that one. Oh,
yeah, all these radiologists, these women were getting the vaccine, and radiologists were seeing weird stuff in breast tissue, and so they are ordering biopsies, which is a very painful thing to do to the breast.
Just real quick, just to interject before you go on here, I found this. This is from April 27th, so this is from yesterday. MedicalExpress.com. Should COVID-19 testing programs also screen for HIV? The first sentence here, the COVID-19 pandemic may be facilitating the spread of HIV, but combined screening programs could reduce the spread of both viruses, according to recent research.
How would it be facilitating the spread of HIV? You're not allowed to be outside next to somebody with your mask off. How are you getting HIV from somebody?
I don't know. It's the great mask debate.
That's complete poppycock.
Yeah.
So anyways, with this, and maybe we should actually bring an actual article, but yes, the radiologists were seeing weird stuff in breast tissue, ordering biopsies, which are extremely painful. And, the biopsies were coming back negative for breast cancer, but, they're giving out thousands of breast biopsies, which are just incredibly invasive procedures. Anyways, just more weird stuff. The article continues. It was protease inhibitors that turned the tide on the spread of HIV in the UK and around the world. Now researchers hope they may be on the brink of a similar pandemic-busting breakthrough. Quote, if they have moved to this stage, they will be quietly optimistic, said Professor Penny Ward, visiting professor in the pharmaceutical medicine at King's College London and a pioneer in the development of Tamiflu, an antiviral that combats seasonal and pandemic flu. Quote, the question will be about how the drug is tolerated. They will be going like the clappers.
Okay.
I don't know what that means. Must be some UK thing. It sounds bad, but I'm assuming this is a good thing. If there's some UK listener in the thing,
I'm going to look that up
because
I don't think that means what it means in the US.
Going like the clappers. Yeah.
Okay. Go like the clappers. The origin, the term, it just means go very fast in a vigorous manner. The term isn't common outside the UK. It is now considered rather archaic. Even there, it originated around the time of World War II as RAF slang. The earliest citation is from 1942, a newspaper that said, a pilot chased an enemy, goes like a clapper.
Yeah, because even making that connection with World War II and soldiers being overseas, at least in the U.S., it sounds like they're spreading gonorrhea. And, gonorrhea spreads fast, I guess. So maybe anyways, let's move on.
Got the clap. Okay, go ahead.
The antiviral pill was developed from scratch. Okay.
That sounds like
This is great. This is similar to the vaccine. Like, we just magically created the thing. The antiviral pill was developed from scratch during the current pandemic. Dafid Owen, the director of medicinal chemistry at Pfizer, told the private symposium of the Division of Medicinal Chemistry last month. The first 7 milligrams of the compound, no more than a raindrop. Oh, he's a poet, too. No more than a raindrop. Were made in late July. By late October, they had made 100 grams of the drug. Just 2 weeks later, they had more than a kilogram in the bag. It took 210 researchers to do it, said Owen. Pfizer is keeping stum. Oh, my gosh. What is stum? Pfizer is keeping stum about the detail of the lab tests.
Maybe quiet? Maybe it means
has to be that.
Yeah. Keep stum to remain silent, not say anything.
Okay. Yeah. The Telegraph.
The UK really throwing us curveballs today.
Yes, this is like a cultural lesson as well as a. Pfizer is keeping stum about the detail of the lab tests it has completed, but says it has demonstrated, quote, potent in vitro antiviral activities against SARS-CoV-2, as well as activity against other coronaviruses, raising the prospect of cure to the common cold as well as future pandemic threats. It's funny because potent in vitro antiviral activity against SARS-CoV-2, that's a lot of things. In vitro, bleach is a potent in vitro antiviral activity.
Yeah, Trump.
Trump. Quote, we have designed PF 07321-332 as a potential oral therapy that could be prescribed at the first sign of infection without requiring that patients are hospitalized or in critical care, said Mikhail Dolston, Chief Scientific Officer and President, Worldwide Research, Development, and Medical of Pfizer in an official statement released last month. Man, these guys' titles are hard. According to Professor Ward, Pfizer scientists will have most likely established the drug's potent, in quotes, action against SARS-CoV-2 by developing it against infected. Yeah, thank you. I need to make my
Come on, googly eyes.
Yeah, I gotta make the font bigger. Here we go. I'm getting old, Gons.
Yeah.
According to Professor Ward, Pfizer scientists will have most likely established the drug's potent action against SARS-CoV-2 by deploying it against infected human tissue cultures, including lung tissue, in a laboratory. Quote, once you know it works in vitro, it's all about establishing its tolerance in animals and then humans, she said. Or you can just skip the animals like they did with the vaccine.
I was going to say, not always.
The Telegraph has obtained copies of the documents given to participants who are now entering the first human trials. Quote, to date, the study drug has not been administered to humans, say the documents, which were formally approved on February 8th. Quote, the safety of the study drug has been studied in animals. In these animal studies, no significant risks or safety events of concern were identified. And the study drug did not cause side effects at any of the dose levels that will be used in clinical studies. That's interesting because even with Tamiflu, you can have some pretty intense side effects.
Yeah.
Those who have signed up for the trial are in for an intensive few months. The trial is split into 3 phases and will run for 145 days, with another 28 days added for screening and dosing. For all participants, there will be several overnight stays. Quote, you're here today as a possible participant in a drug research study sponsored by Pfizer Incorporated. Say the briefing documents. Taking part in this study is voluntary. Your
choice. Did they actually? Do you think that was in the document,
so.
Or did they add it?
No, it's within the quotation marks. Yeah, so they just wanted. I mean, given Pfizer's dark criminal history, and I say dark criminal history because that's what it is, criminal, and that's not me just being mean. That's according to court documents.
Court docs. Yep.
Yeah, they just really want to make sure that these people know they are here on their own volition. If you are not completely honest about your health history, you may be harmed by being in this study. The, quote, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled, single and multiple dose escalation study is designed to see how well or otherwise different dosing regimens are tolerated in humans while the active compound is maintained in the body. PF07321332 will be administered in combination with low doses of ritonavir, an antiviral used to treat HIV. It acts as a booster to increase the amount of PF07321332 in participants' blood. Okay, so they're combining it with the HIV treatment. Almost done here. Phase 1 of the trial is designed to see how it, quote, is tolerated as the dose is increased alone or with ritonavir, if there are significant side effects and how people feel after taking it, say the documents. Phase 2 will do the same but with multiple doses, while in Phase 3, tablet and liquid forms of the drug will be tested, as will the impact of eating on top of it. Every detail has been specified in advance. In Phase 3, for example, a high-fat breakfast is defined as 2 eggs fried in butter, 2 strips of pork bacon, 2 slices of toast with butter, 4 ounces of hash brown potatoes, and 8 ounces of whole milk eaten in 20 minutes. That's a real American breakfast right there. Except only 2 slices of bacon. There needs to be more bacon. Bringing a new drug to market is a long and difficult process. Apparently not. And even if PF07321332 is found to be well tolerated in humans, formal Phase 3 trials would need to follow to establish whether the drug worked against people exposed to SARS-CoV-2. Professor Ward has also warned of more practical problems. The antiviral Tamiflu that she helped create costs about $25 a course. And is still not widely prescribed in the UK against seasonal flu because of its price tag. $25 to avoid the flu.
Is it dollars or pounds? What's that?
Well, it's pounds, but they're similar. They're similar right now. I don't know. I'm not saying $25 is nothing, but to not lose a week or two of your life in agonizing pain. It's not the worst thing in the world. Despite some 20,000 people dying of the disease in Britain each year. For Pfizer and PF 073213332, it is a race against time, she said. They not only need to produce the drug that works, but need to do it while SARS-CoV-2 still presents a major public health threat. Boom. There it is. Last sentence. They got to do it fast before COVID goes away, or else there's no money in it.
There's no point. Yeah. This is, wow.
Hilarious.
That is hilarious. Just giving it away at the end there.
Yeah.
Just tucked in at the very end of the article.
We got to hurry up. We can't let COVID go away until we have this drug and can sell it. And yeah, even saying it's going to come out this year is incredibly speedy for something like this.
Yeah. Well, we're going to move on. You got anything else on that, or I think it's pretty straightforward?
I think we said it all.
Pfizer pill. It's gonna be, you know, all the kids are gonna be like, hey, you got your Molly, and you got your ketamine, and now you got your Pfizer pill.
You know, it's kind of like, and I don't want to be blue here, but it is kind of like a COVID plan B. You know, you should have your vaccine. You should be wearing your mask. You should be social distancing. But, you know, everybody makes mistakes, and then you take your plan B pill.
You know, this is, it's kind of like the skeptics and the vax hesitant are going to run out of room. You know, they're going to be like, oh, you don't like the jab? Take the pill.
Yeah.
You can take a pill. Just a pill.
Yeah.
Just take the pill.
Yeah.
Anybody
Don't
read
worry,
Brave New
there's
World?
only a little bit of nanobots in it.
Yeah, interesting how they don't really get into all the details of what's in it. Moving on here. This is contradictory to what the CDC and Biden and all those folks are suggesting. MSN.com, this is actually a Business Insider article. Staying 6 feet apart indoors does almost nothing to stop the spread of COVID-19, MIT study finds.
Yeah.
Whoa. Man in motor vehicle driving fast by the house.
Well, it's quiet over here. I thought it was a train.
Soundgate is really working well. The widely used rule of staying 6 feet away from others does little to affect the risk of exposure to COVID-19 in indoor spaces, according to a new study out of MIT. According to the MIT researchers, the rule is based on an outdated understanding of how the coronavirus moves in closed spaces. I mean, this thing is like alive, man. It has a spine. It moves in closed spaces. It's really freaky. They said other variables like the number of people in a space, whether they wear masks, what they're doing, and the level of ventilation were much more important. The 6-foot rule is used in various forms around the world. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention advises 6 feet of separation indoors and outdoors, while in the UK the figure is 2 meters. In much of Europe, the figure is 1 meter, which is also recommended as a minimum distance by the World Health Organization. But while such distancing rules are easy to remember and purport to suit any situation, the new study says they may not be that useful.
Mm-hmm.
The study was... excuse me.
Which I will just mention, we've known for a long time.
Yeah.
It was just crazy conspiracy theory people.
Especially if you're outside.
Well, yeah. The 6 foot thing is not scientific at all. It's just sort of there's, depending on how conspiracy-y you want to get about it, there's all sorts of theories about the AI needs 6 feet between facial recognition, or, the satanic ritual requires 6 feet between people. But it's been known for a while that it's pretty much just a ambiguous number that they decided.
The study was released online ahead of its publication in the peer-reviewed journal PNAS on Tuesday. It says a better way of controlling indoor exposure is to do individual calculations based on variables for that space, something that AI can do very well for you. In some cases, the exposure level might be the same at 6 feet as at 60 feet, one of the study authors has said.
It's funny to hear them say, yeah, the 6 feet thing doesn't really matter. But to say it's the same as 60 feet, it's just like, okay, what are we doing here?
Which means it's maybe the same at 600 feet, and then you add it all together and you have 666.
The ritual has been complete. Yeah, wow. Social distancing is a conspiracy theory.
Martin Bezant and John Bush, both MIT professors in applied mathematics. Isn't it applied, not applies mathematics?
I have no idea.
Developed a formula to estimate how long it would take for a person to hit dangerous levels of exposure from one infected person entering a room. The calculation is a more sophisticated version of the traffic light system previously proposed by MIT. It takes into account the number of people in the room, the size of the space, what they're doing, whether masks are being worn, and what kind of ventilation is in place. Using this calculation, it could be that the level of exposure is high in some spaces, even if people are more than 6 feet away. It could also be lower than expected. Oh, wow. They sound like chart analysts for any kind of market. It could go up. It could go low. Quote, the distancing isn't helping you that much. And it's also giving you a false sense of security because you're as safe at 6 feet as you are at 60 feet if you're indoors. Everyone in that space is at roughly the same risk, actually, Bazant told CNBC.
Much like what Fauci was saying about masks at the beginning. Said if you wear a mask, you're just getting a false sense of security.
Yep. And also what the several medical journals said about the mask, that they're just a talisman.
Yeah.
For the medical practitioners. They don't necessarily protect them, but it makes them feel better about, getting the disease, or contracting the disease of the people they're helping or whatever.
Medical security theater.
Yes.
And it's also related to the issue that was going on where these vaccine clinics were very casual and had balloons and, nobody was in doctors' masks and, they weren't taking it, quote unquote, seriously. And so it lifted the veil of the medical security theater, and it was really making people uncomfortable.
Didn't we get a note from a producer as well who was saying that they went to the doctor's office and they took off the mask or whatever, and they asked the doctor about the vaccine, and the doctor basically said like, "Yep, it's all BS. Don't worry about it."
Oh, I don't recall, but that sounds like something a producer would send us.
Yeah, I think I don't know, maybe we can pull that up later. But anyway,
okay.
I continue on. Scientific understanding of how the coronavirus moves in the air has challenged earlier assumptions about how best to adapt to minimize its spread. Wow, they were assuming things earlier? I thought it was science.
Science is truth.
And also assumptions by scientists are also truth. At the beginning of the pandemic, it was widely believed that the virus traveled via heavier droplets ejected during exhalation, sneezing, or speaking. What? Oh, you were making noises.
That was just my sound effect for the coronavirus shooting out of your mouth.
Droplets ejecting during exhalation, sneezing, or speaking. But evidence has long suggested that the virus instead floats around on lighter aerosol droplets that can stay suspended in the air and travel much farther than first thought. In their calculation, the MIT researchers took into account the effect of having people in the room, their behavior, and how long the virus would stay suspended in the air. I'm picturing like a flying squirrel or something just up there like... In a calm environment, these particles would slowly drift to the ground, the researchers said in their study. But in an environment in which the air is moving around the room and people are talking, eating, singing, and sneezing, the drops can be suspended in the airflow and mixed throughout the room longer. The effect can be counteracted by ventilation or filtering to get the virus particles out of circulation in the room. A website made available by researchers shows how this model works in different scenarios. For example, if an infected person walks into a classroom hosting 25 people, none wearing a mask and all speaking, everyone would be at risk from the coronavirus within 36 minutes, the website says. It doesn't matter if you follow the 6-foot rule. By contrast, if all 25 people in that room were wearing masks, the air would be safe to breathe for 20 hours, it said.
Real quick, why would it be safe for 20 hours if they're wearing a mask? if after 20 hours, does coronavirus
die?
Come through the mask or something?
Maybe.
They're assuming that 25 people would stay in the room for 20 hours, and after 20 hours, the COVID molecules would have broken past the mask fortress.
Guess.
To escape, it just takes it 20 hours.
Yeah, I don't know. It's all in the algorithm, obviously.
Yeah, interesting. Thing to note here is they are saying social distancing means nothing, but the masks are still important.
Right. If they were all singing without a mask, they'd be at risk from the virus within 3 minutes. Is that proper English? If they were all singing without a mask, comma, they'd be at risk from the virus within 3 minutes. I don't think that's proper English.
They be at risk, man.
They be at risk. Public health bodies have started to acknowledge that the 6-foot rule is not a catch-all. In March,
it sounds like a catch-nothing.
In March, the CDC advised that the 6-foot rule could be brought down to 3 feet in K through 12 schools. This weekend, the CDC also updated social distancing guidance for children in summer camps, saying they can be within 3 feet of one another except when eating or drinking. It also suggested that disinfection of surfaces might not be necessary in public spaces, urging an end to what some have called hygiene theater.
Oh, good.
As for
I went to I've been to the movie theater a few times in the past couple months here, and they are just obsessed with the hygiene theater. Don't worry, we wipe down every single seat after every showing, and we spray this aerosol thing all over the place. Don't worry, you're safe here.
Yeah. As for rules dictating social distancing outdoors, Bazant said they are, quote, kind of crazy, end quote, CNBC reported. The infected air, quote, would be swept away, Bazant said, making the rule irrelevant. Wow, really? Unless the space outdoors is crowded, Bazant said he would feel comfortable being as close as 3 feet even without masks.
Oh, yeah.
So all those, this is coming at a time. This will be interesting to see. Because I don't know what happened to the court case in California where all the restaurateurs sued the state of California for shutting down outdoor dining in certain restaurants. Hopefully this kind of study will at least give them ammunition to win that case. Experts,
especially ammunition directly against what Biden is calling for vaccinated people to be able to take your mask off unless you're in a crowd outside.
Experts have told Insider that when it is possible to stay more than 6 feet away from people, wearing a mask outside is not always necessary.
Okay. Well, this is great.
Go.
I recommend everybody save this article. Again, just a reminder, if you head over to canarycrynewstalk.com, all the articles are posted in the show notes. It's a good idea to at least save these links because you never know, what'll happen to the website. But you can head on over there, save the links. Even better, just copy and paste all of it to your COVID document that you have. This is a good one to send around to your vaccinated friends.
And tell them that their vax does nothing.
Don't even bother. Just send them this.
Don't explain.
No need to make a big deal about it. Let them read it for themselves.
Yeah. All right. Well, there you go.
People are asking for the link. I just told you. After the show, head on over to canarycrynewstalk.com. All the links will be there. Okay, well, we got one more here, and we'll make it kind of quick, unless you had some stuff specifically highlighted.
Yeah, well, not really. This isn't exactly a story. It's just something that was sent in by Shield Labs, I believe, sent us the story. But really, I'm just looking at the PDF here of the story.
Right.
And,
I was just going to read the abstract, or why don't you bring us through if you know what you want to do with it.
Well, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory here. This is Microbiology and Infectious Diseases, a research article titled COVID-19 RNA-Based Vaccines and the Risk of Prion Disease. I think I'm saying that right, prion. And I mean, you can read if you want to read the abstract, you can. It's a little technical.
Yeah, well, this whole thing is very technical, which is why I was going to ask if you had little bits highlighted, or we can do the introduction maybe.
Yeah, I had a hold on. There was a certain spot with a certain word. Well, basically, the point here. Let me read this bottom part here in the abstract. The folding of TDP-43 and FUS into other pathologic prion conformations is known to cause ALS, front temporal lobar degeneration, Alzheimer's disease, and other neurological degenerative diseases. So, I mean, essentially, the paper here is suggesting that one of the risks of the Pfizer RNA-based COVID-19 vaccines is neurological degenerative issues or diseases.
Do you know what publication this is? SciVisionPub.com.
Yeah,
SciVision. It's got an ISSN number here, 2639-9458.
Yeah, I think it's an actual paper here. But
yeah, well, it is an actual paper, but there's the scientific publishing industry is wrought with all sorts of problems.
So this is SciVision Publishing Group is a comprehensive platform for complete open access journals, providing unbiased access to scientific content across the globe. All the journals are supported by eminent experts in the corresponding areas who provide quality and constructive peer review. So it's fairly legit.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, because I don't know, we don't need to get into the whole issue of scientific publications that have been wreaking havoc on stuff. But here you go. So this is an open access publication, peer-reviewed publication. And just to read the introduction, it kind of lays it out. Vaccines have been found to cause a host of chronic, late-developing adverse events. Some adverse events, like type 1 diabetes, may not occur until 3 to 4 years after a vaccine is administered. In the example of type 1 diabetes, the frequency of cases of adverse events may surpass the frequency of cases of severe infectious disease the vaccine was designed to prevent. Given that type 1 diabetes is only one of many immune-mediated diseases potentially caused by vaccines, chronic late-occurring adverse events are a serious public health issue. The advent of new vaccine technology creates new potential mechanisms of vaccine adverse events. For example, the first killed polio vaccine actually caused polio in recipients because the upscaled manufacturing process did not effectively kill the polio virus before it was injected into patients. RNA-based vaccines offers special risks of inducing specific adverse events. One such potential adverse event is prion-based diseases caused by activation of intrinsic proteins to form prions. This prion thing, wasn't this related to the CRISPR issue as well? The gene editing?
Yeah.
I remember this. I think that's where we learned about this prion thing. A wealth of knowledge has been published on a class of RNA binding proteins shown to participating in causing a number of neurological diseases, including Alzheimer's disease and ALS. ALS I don't know if, again, this is not scientific, but anecdotally, I mentioned when the Bell's palsy stuff started coming out, when people were getting their Bell's palsy from the vaccine. My grandmother actually passed from Bell's palsy, but it was in conjunction with ALS.
Right.
So those are kind of, not that she got it from a vaccine or anything, but there you go. So when we hear about the Bell's palsy and ALS, they're related degenerative things. TDP-43 and FUS are among the best studied of these proteins. The Pfizer RNA-based COVID-19 vaccine was approved by the U.S. FDA under an emergency use authorization without long-term safety data. Because of concerns about the safety of the vaccine, a study was performed to determine if the vaccine could potentially induce prion-based disease. And it goes through the method, and it's a full sort of paper here. But as it said in the abstract, they believe that is possible, at least.
Right. And I just pulled up this CDC article on prion diseases. They say prion diseases or transmissible spongiform encephalopathies are a family of rare progressive neurodegenerative disorders that affect both humans and animals. They are distinguished by long incubation periods, characteristic spongiform changes associated with neuronal loss, and a failure to induce inflammatory response. So, I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, so there you go. I mean, this is, again, this sort of thing has been talked about by anti-vaxxers for quite a long time, but this research paper did come across specifically for COVID-19 vaccines, so we thought it was worth a mention. I think it's
specifically Pfizer, isn't it?
Yeah. Specifically the Pfizer RNA-based COVID-19 vaccine.
And this was published back in, or at least it was received in December 27th, 2020, accepted in January 18th, 2021. So, yeah, I mean, it's been a few months, and I didn't hear about it much. I guess outlet does matter, certain outlets.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. It's like I've referred to a couple times, the scientific publishing industry is a complete mess. Yeah. So who knows? But there is a movement kind of going towards these open source ones because there's a little bit less of a pay-to-play situation with the scientific papers. But, again, the open source thing comes with all the problems with open source stuff. So just not making any claims, just saying this is a paper that's out there and you can check it out if you want. Links will be at canarycrimenewstalk.com.
Cool.
All right. Well, should we take a little break?
It's break time. Come on, take a break.
Okie dokie, folks. We're just going to take a short little break here, and it's going to be a good time. We're going to be thanking some producers, and that's right. I said producers because we are on the value for value model. And it's a very simple model, folks. You might notice we have no advertisements, no affiliate codes, no vitamin, protein, vitality supplements to sell you, nothing like that. The value for value model is so simple. It only takes me about 50 minutes to explain. But the short version is we create value. We do it 3 times a week, and we try the very best we can. And if you get any value out of what we do, you have the opportunity or responsibility, depending who you talk to put some value back in. And that's the only way that the show keeps going. There's a couple of good things about this. Number one, we take no corporate money whatsoever. No money from Facebook, no money from YouTube, no money from, what's the other one? Twitch, no affiliates, no partnerships, no nothing, folks. We are entirely funded by our producers. And our producers are listeners just like you who decided that they want to take responsibility for their own media future. They recognize that corporate money in media is a big problem, and even more so the advertising industry. They've decided they no longer want to give their time and attention to advertisers who get paid to exploit them. And that's right. The advertising industry doesn't get enough attention for being such a corrupt, brainwashing, Hegelian dialectic exploiting industry that decided, hey, we got people making cool media all over the place. We'll give them a little bit of money and we'll brainwash their entire listenership. So our producers are people who have decided not only to take responsibility and say, no, I appreciate that Basil and Gons are not packaging up my attention and shipping it off to advertisers for their own personal gain, but also I want to provide this show to have it continue even for people who don't become producers. So wherever you are, if you're in the chat, if you're driving your car, if you're all alone, or in a big crowd outside wearing or not wearing your mask, right now, let's give a big round of applause for our producers. Make sure to thank a producer today, or if you're alone, just thank God for the producers. We're so thankful for them. And Gons, there's a couple ways to do that. The first one is patreon.com/CCNT. And here's a little, I'm just going to do some refreshing real quick. As of last checking, I did not see any new producers on patreon.com/CCNT, but we also have patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. And if you don't know, Canary Cry Radio is actually a different show. That's our interview style show we've been doing since 2012. Plenty of episodes for you to go check out there if you haven't done it. But we like to thank people who come in and support Canary Cry Radio at patreon.com/Canary Cry Radio. You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk, by the way, if you didn't know. But I do want to thank new producers, producer Gray Matters. Thank you very much, producer Gray Matters. We also have a new producer, Kate P. Thank you very much, producer Kate. And Kate came in with $3.33 a month. Thank you very much. One of our monthly Illuminati handlers.
I thought it was Caitlyn Jenner, but then I saw the P there, and I was like, oh, yeah. Okay,
oh, close one, Gons.
Yeah, so maybe
all
Caitlyn
right.
Penner.
So that's all for our Patreon producers, but do not fret, folks. If you don't like Patreon, that's okay. We totally support you. You can head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support is a great place to learn more about the value for value model. You can learn about the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. You can also come in and produce the show on a monthly basis if you are willing to commit. That's through PayPal. But if commitment is not your thing, you can go ahead and become a producer in any amount you'd like for a one-time producership. Gons. Oh, there's also cryptocurrency and all sorts of fun stuff there. We'll get to that later, though. Who's coming in on PayPal?
PayPal. First up, thank you for all the recurring producers out there. We really appreciate it. But we have some people to name here. First off, Isaac G.
Thank you very much. Isaac G coming in with the episode number producership, coming in at $3.30.
Yep. Thank you for that. Next up, producer Tristan H.
Thank you very much, producer Tristan, also coming in at $3.30.
Yes, and next up we have producer Cherie H.
Thank you very much, producer Cherie.
And she's also
coming in at the $3.30 producership amount. Little note here, show number amount $3.30. Thanks for all you do. Thanks for all you do, producer Cherie.
Yeah. Okay, moving on here, we have producer Teresa H.
Thank you very much, producer Teresa H. Always a pleasure.
Yes, thank you. Next up, producer Matthew M.
Ooh, thank you very much, producer Matthew M. Do we have any note about what this number means?
I didn't see one offhand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for those who, while you look for that, I'll just mention, for those who are thinking about becoming producers, we always thank all of our producers. We do not read the number amount unless it is sort of a special number. It might be 777 or 33 or the show amount number. A lot of people do like to produce in the amount of like a Bible verse or something like that. But you got to let us know what it means, or else we just tend to opt towards not reading the amount. Our assumption is always anonymity.
Yeah. I don't know if there's.
Let's just move on. Producer Matthew, if there's anything you'd like to let us know about that number, you just send it on in. Email us.
And we apologize if we missed it. I don't think we did, but it's possible. We do miss things, folks.
Sometimes.
Next up, producer Alicia Jr.
Thank you very much, producer Alicia. And thanks for the note. Says thankful for your hard work.
Thank you for your producership. Next, producer Melissa T.
Thank you very much, producer Melissa T.
I appreciate that. Very generous. Next up, we have producer James H.
Thank you very much, producer James H. You're the man.
I don't know if the number has any significance here.
No, didn't let us know. Let us know next time.
Jerry West? I don't know. Next up, we have producer Shield Labs.
Thank you very much. Producer Shield Labs coming in again.
Yep. I thought you were going to say something more.
No. I mean, don't get me started on Shield Labs. I can talk all about his awesome store where he handcrafts Marvel paraphernalia. And if anybody out there is looking for that stuff, go check out Shield Labs. I don't remember the URL off the top of my head, but who's next?
All right. Next up, we have producer Katie R.
Yeah, thank you very much, producer Katie R. And she came in as a recurring producer and sent a nice note, Gons.
Yeah, so a new recurring producer with the note. She said, Basil and Gons, I sent a donation via PayPal and was hoping to leave a short thank you note, but I didn't see an option, so you get a novel instead. Well, we got a novel here. So Once Upon a Time. No. I just wanted to thank y'all for all the hard work and entertainment you put out in your shows. It's hard to find anything good now on YouTube or podcasts, so you guys and the Canary Cry fans are always something I look forward to watching, hearing, reading. As I'm writing this email, my kids have locked me inside the trampoline barrier and are climbing on me / holding me hostage. So please forgive me for the typos or terrible grammar. Blame the kids, not my education. Education, I think, is what she was trying to say. Anyway, y'all are the best. I love the Christian foundation of the show and the fact that you step away from the left-right paradigm to describe everything through a biblical lens. Too often, I'll get caught up in the political drama, picking sides. Twitter is the worst, LOL. But y'all help me to remember to stay grounded and keep my eyes on the Lord. So again, thank you so much for all you do. Have a blessed day. Producer Katie R. And also, P.S., Gons, this contribution is dedicated to your wifey for Mother's Day. Oh, thank you. As mine get older, stinkier and louder, I think she's talking about her kids.
I know. I thought she was talking about her mother.
I thought she was talking about her mom, too, at first.
My mom just gets older, stinkier, and louder.
Believe it or not, sometimes I miss the early mommy days. Y'all cherish these moments. They grow up way too fast. Well, that's true. Thank you so much, producer KDR. Very thoughtful. Yeah. And hello to all the kids. Let her out of the trampoline barrier cage there.
I hope you're let out by now, but if not, we'll send a drone with some supplies.
Yeah. She's got to make them the sandwiches.
Gons, we had a couple more come in during the show here, and I got them right in front of me. Are you ready to thank them?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to thank producer Michael G. Came in with $33.33. He's one of our big Illuminati handler producers today. And a note that says, I appreciate you both. Bless up. Thank you very much, producer Michael. We appreciate you as well. And then we had one more come in. Let me just double check. Yes, this is producer Daniel S. Thank you very much, producer Daniel S.
Oops. Let me finish that for you.
Did that cut short?
Yeah, it's
a short gong.
Yeah, I'm still figuring out how to press these buttons without disrupting it from other things. There's a lot going on these screens, you know. Doesn't look like there's much, but I promise you there's a lot. All right, so is that it for...
Yep, that is it for the PayPal. I don't see anybody coming. I can give one more refresh, see if anybody just slid into home.
You know, somebody...
Nope.
Did we read... Was it from the last episode, somebody listening to us from iHeartRadio? Was that in... Because I saw that note. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, did we not read that already?
I don't remember. I don't remember if it was from last episode or not.
Okay.
But,
I don't remember either.
Well, okay.
Why do you ask?
I just remember somebody mentioning that they listened to us on iHeartRadio. I thought that was interesting. Do they have a podcast catcher or something? I don't know. Yeah, I think so.
I
think they just have a podcast feed of a bunch of podcasts, and I know we put our thing in there a while ago. So,
all right.
Well, yep. There you go. That's it for the PayPal producers. Thank you all of you.
Very much.
Very generous. We appreciate it very much. And also, you know, one of the other ways you can produce a show, if you're a futurist, if you live in the future, is with cryptocurrency. You can go to canarycryradio.com/crypto and learn about some of the things that encompass the crypto world, which is getting more and more mainstream by the day. And we had a crypto donation producership from Jack V.
Thank you very much, producer Jack V.
And Jack sent in 33 XRP tokens.
Oh, he's our crypto Illuminati handler.
He's our XRP guy, which I think XRP got sued by the SEC, and I think they're still in a little bit of hot water. We'll see what happens.
It's a good time.
Been checking out Brad Garlinghouse. Is that his name? The guy, the head of Ripple or whatever. Anyway, he has a note here. Hey guys, I was the bro who sent in the 33 XRP. Thanks, bro. Not sure where else to put a note when sending crypto. So this is the way to do it. You did it right. You sent us an email. I guess you can, if you're doing Bitcoin, I suppose if you know what you're doing, you can like write a note on the block, but that's pretty technical. I would like to know if you guys would start accepting Cardano. Ada. I would, yeah, we can start accepting Cardano, no problem. Also, what do you guys think of the project and Charles Hoskinson? The way he talks about Cardano, I could really see how blockchain and his self-governance could be the perfect beast system. Curious on what you guys think. And do you know anything about Cardano, Basil?
Just the basics. I don't know anything.
Well, a
regular person wouldn't know.
So Charles Hoskinson, the guy he asked about here, what Jack asked about, himself and Gavin Wood and Vitalik Buterin were all part of starting this project called Ethereum. But they had some disagreements on how to implement Ethereum. So Vitalik basically took it one direction, and some of these guys started their own project. Gavin Wood started Polkadot, and Charles Hoskinson started Cardano, and the ticker symbol is ADA, ADA, named after Ada Lovelace. She was one of the first computer programmers, I think. And Charles Hoskinson took sort of the scientific approach. So they haven't created anything more than a blockchain using proof of stake, meaning you can stake your tokens instead of proof of work, and it's all technical. But I will say this, Jack V, some of the things that are named within the Cardano ecosystem are very interesting. They have something called the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros, the self-eating snake, the snake that eats its own tail. That's a big part of the under the hood of Cardano.
Is this a DAO project?
It's a smart contract platform. And they just made they're going to be in Africa. I think they just announced like some education thing, but they're going to be huge in Africa for identity, for finances, and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
I did have a clip on my phone from a couple months ago, Charles Hoskinson talking about Ouroboros and why he named it that, and why he used like the reason why he used the mythological creature of the Ouroboros to name it that or whatever. But for some reason I couldn't get it to play on my machine here. I would have played it for you here, but I didn't have time. But yeah, we'll accept some Cardano just for the time being, and certainly as you said, I can certainly see it becoming the part of the beast system there, especially since in Africa, I've mentioned before on several episodes, if you go back into the archive, how I think Africa is going to become way more built up technologically. The technocratic buildup in Africa will be huge, and in that process, I think ADA will assist in that. You already have Akon and stuff like that going on there. They're gonna really build up the crypto world there, and they're gonna be a power. Even biblically, eschatologically, Africa is, or at least Egypt, is a powerhouse there that gets taken over by the Antichrist. So, just something to note there. But yeah, we'll open a little ADA wallet, and we can accept some ADA, and you can stake an ADA, and I think they're getting ready to release whatever the next phase is. I think they just finished Goguin, and they're getting ready to do their smart contract stuff, and it'll be probably pretty big there. So anyway, thank you for that. Thank you for putting me on this rant, Jack V.
Yeah, thanks, Jack V.
Thanks, Jack V. Also, did you get the Newsom Science jingle from Brett Pella? Yes, we did.
It's Newsom Science, baby! Ha!
Yeah, Brent Pella is the comedian that did the impression of Newsom. He has a whole set of Newsom impressions on his channel, so yeah, go check that out. We'll play it for you. Yes, we did. From your local Gen Z crypto enthusiast, much love.
Wow. Thank you very much, producer Jack V. Wow, Gen Z. We have a Gen Z who actually listens to the show. That's great.
Gen Z who sent us crypto.
Come on, man. He's really living in the future. These kids, man, they're bringing us with them.
At least I don't think anybody has asked us or told us like, hey, we'll send you some Doge. We haven't had the Doge, or did somebody ask us that? I don't know yet, but
I don't recall.
Yeah,
maybe a while back.
Yeah, I don't own any Doge. Do you?
Yeah.
Are you a Doge guy?
I'm a everything guy.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. That does it for the crypto there. We do have, just real quick, we did get some snail mail.
Ooh, that's fun. It's been a while.
I just wanted to thank some people. I thought I had a snail mail jingle. Every time I do this, I forget that I gotta. It's a Mr. Magoo thing, so it's, just imagine Mr. Magoo saying snail mail. All right, so real quick here, I got a couple notes in the physical form. First up from Sandy. Thanks for doing the things you do so well. Keep up the good work, and God bless you. Well, thank you, Sandy.
Thank you very much, producer Sandy.
And also from producer Catherine, I believe. Gons and Basil, love the show on iHeartRadio. That's where I read it. It was on a physical note.
Okay.
This is my issue. I'm sorry. I forgot that it was a physical note, not an email. And the amount equals Jubilee that she gave us. Happy smile. Blessings, Catherine. Dooley's mom 8 in the chat.
Thank you very much. Dooley's mom 8.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. And if anybody else is interested in sending us snail mail, you can find the address over at canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. And moving on here, that's all the financial or our treasure supporters, so we appreciate that. You can support the show with your time and talent as well. Thank you to Jade Bouncerson and Christine. And I believe there was supposed to be somebody who was supposed to do the timestamps on Monday, but he was a no-show, is the last I heard. So I don't know what happened to the guy, but yeah, if you're out there, contact Jade Bouncerson and figure it out. But yeah, we appreciate the timestamps. They're very helpful. And keep that up. And you can also help us with your talent, and that includes jingles and art. On the jingle front, we got a jingle from B-Dubs, and this will become more relevant here as we talk about the meetups. But it's a meetup jingle.
Canary Cry Meetup.
Woo! Very nice. Thank you very much, B-Dubs.
Very good. And then let's get through the art, and then we'll talk about the meetups here.
One art, please.
Evil woman. First up, we have one from producer Allie, and this one needs a little explaining. Do you want me to explain it?
Yeah, explain it to me.
Okay. It's titled Silly Cow, K-O-W, and this is the COVID Commission Planning Group leader, UVA Professor Philip Zelikow, the former executive director of the 9/11 Commission.
Oh, right.
And he has a quote: "One reason you tend to doubt conspiracy theories when you've worked in government is because you know government is not nearly competent enough to carry off elaborate theories. It's a banal explanation, but imagine how efficient it would need to be."
Yeah, this is the worst argument against conspiracy theories. The most impotent argument.
It would be the argument of someone who has been compartmentalized to
right,
not see
exactly. That's a good point. Yes, that's the argument of a government man who's never been let into the cool kid club.
You're not cool enough to be one of the high-level puppet masters. But there you go. It's Zelikow.
Okay, very good. I've never seen this man before, but I'm going to assume that producer Allie did a wonderful job.
Yep. very reminiscent of the
his
actual
eyes,
Deli Cow.
his pupils are so tiny.
Yeah.
He's
There's no
staring
soul
into
there.
my soul.
The soul is missing. All right, next up we have a couple from producer Andrea F. This first one is titled Baz.
This was really incredible. Yeah. So for those who are just listening, very stylized, very cool, very talented. My gosh. Looks like a mix between, I don't know, pencil and colored pencil or marker, or I don't know.
Let me read the note and it will make sense. Yeah, let me read the note. It says, I love Canary Cry. It never fails to keep me on my toes and entertained. I thank you both for all your hard work and the show you have built from the ground up. These two drawings, he's got another one, by the way. These two drawings are my producer contribution. Both are made with pencil, and I added color for an additional pop. I tried to represent each of you in your individuality while still keeping the same feel and tone. Basil, I apologize if this looks nothing like you. Like those before me, drawing something you can't see is challenging. But I realize that is exactly the point. So congratulations, no one knows what you look like. LOL. And then Gons, keep being you. It's always a joy when your little ones make an impromptu appearance. Keep up the good work, guys. Thank you, Andrea.
Yeah, wow, really incredible. And for those who are just listening, of course, I've got the VR headset on there with the reflection of the News Talk logo in my pupils. And there's a little cat tail coming up in front of me, which often happens. There's a cat on my lap. And yeah, oh my gosh, I'm always astounded by the talent of our producers, and this is no different.
You're wearing a Hawaiian shirt, a la Boogaloo Boys.
Yeah, well, it's part of the brand, baby. And I will say, not that far off. I mean, they did a great job compiling whatever different images they could find of, the lower half of my face to put it together. And yeah, it's pretty dang good.
Yep.
Yeah, this we get a lot of wonderful art that could make it on t-shirts, but we might need to make a run at the t-shirt factory for this and a few other pieces.
If you got this on a t-shirt and you wore it around town, nobody would know it's you.
I know. It would just it'd be all part of the fun.
Yeah. Not to be outdone, though, he did do one of, or he or she.
Is it a he?
I don't know.
You keep saying
not that
he.
I realized. Yeah, I don't know that it is.
I think Andrea is a woman's name.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I'm absolutely sure Andrea is a woman's name. Not to say that a man couldn't be named Andrea, but that is pretty generally a woman's name.
Oh yeah, the Aya.
Yeah, the whole thing, Andrea.
Yeah. It's a Brazilian name or something, Portuguese.
No, this is really blowing my mind though, that this is new to you. Andrea is not, I wouldn't say it's common, but isn't necessarily the most neutral name.
I think I knew a guy named Andreas. Maybe that's confusing me. Is that a guy named Andreas?
Andreas is a guy's name.
Okay,
yes.
Maybe that's why it's all right. Sorry.
There are some Italian men I'm learning here that in Italy it is a man's name.
Okay. All right. Well, this next one we're showing here is of me, and got my Canary Cry logo on my ears. The hat is so good. It's like an exact replica of the hat.
I know.
And it's
incredible.
I have I think it's my 3-year-old daughter there. Her hands like pulling my shirt and reaching for my headset wire there.
Yeah, it's gonna rip the headset off your head.
Yeah.
But also an incredible portrait of Gons here.
Yeah, it's
amazing. Great.
I showed this to my wife last night, and she said they drew your neck too long. And I said, well, it's okay. I mean, I get it. My neck is more swole in person, but
yeah, okay. I mean, I guess that as far as criticisms go, that's a pretty benign one.
Yeah, I won't mention the other things.
There's really nothing else to criticize with this.
No, there isn't.
And
Only
you've
the
got
wife.
your nice trimmed beard in this too.
I know.
You're not your full samurai hobo beard.
Is that what that is? Samurai hobo beard?
Well, your old beard, yeah.
Yeah, I have a picture. I'll send you a picture of it. It's now looking back, I'm like, whoa, man, I was really looking pretty rough there for a while.
Samurai hobo.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that, Andrea. Very incredible work here. This is beyond what we expected when we started the art segment. But thank you so much.
Beautiful.
And you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com to look at all the pieces of art here. Just click on the episode. And one more here from Jay Vela.
Okay. Thank you very much, Jay Vela, sending in another Denver Airport's mural style. And from, I'd say, left to right here, we've got chimeric human genetic enhancement. And we've got a burning tree in the garden, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil with the serpent wrapped around it, Adam and Eve there standing, and a red dragon just to the right of that. Directed evolution. And that's very interesting. Oh wow, we've got like an angel type looking figure, but instead of a head, it's got like the dome with a floating brain inside of it.
It's like a brain in a vat.
Yes, and below that we've got a little CRISPR factory, of course, being
printing babies,
being factorized. Yes, printing babies by beings in sort of hooded robes there. To the right of that, we've got a couple more of those hooded beings with binary code for faces overseeing a globe there, of course. We've got some like algorithms ruling the world. And below that, we've got, another binary faced robed figure using a computer attached to a television, and on the television we've got a nice Earth with a
explosion, like a nuke.
Explosion, yes, mushroom cloud.
Yeah.
To the right of that, we've got a golden ring with the Star of David on it. To the right of that, we've got sort of we've got the text "The Destroyer," and we've got a humanoid robot again with a floating brain vat, and what looks to be like a prison, I'd say, with a caged figure.
In red.
Above that, yes, a red caged figure. We've got the Tower of Babel above that, and an ancient AI sort of temple-looking structure with a pyramid blasting some energy out of the top there, and that includes some esoteric-looking ritualistic items like a mirror with wings, a dome sitting on a table, a knife, a torch, things like that. But up in the top, we've got what looks like the pearly gates of heaven up on a cloud, a couple of angels standing guard, and a beam of light or glory coming down.
I think
that's Lucifer falling,
yeah,
right?
that's Lucifer being tossed out of heaven.
Is Lucifer falling out a trap door of heaven?
Yeah, the bottom trap door.
And
you also
missed his havoc down below.
You missed the Temple Mount on the bottom left or bottom right.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, very small.
So there you go. As always, a lot to decode and take a look there, but we are very thankful. Thank you very much, Jay Vela, the Denver Airport artist. At least used to be their old name on Twitch. Not sure if that's currently it, but thank you very much. Beautiful piece.
Yep. And that does it for the artwork. I believe we have some photos and a jingle to share, if I'm not mistaken.
From the meetups. We've got a meetup report and a jingle and some photos from the Pacific Northwest Canary Crime meetup. Let's see. How do you want to do it?
Well, let's do the photos first here.
Well, we should do the jingle first.
Oh, the jingle, right. Yeah. Here, the jingle.
Canary Crime meetup.
All right. And there's the first picture we're showing up here. We got a note from producer Ciara. Hey, y'all, what a blessing it was to meet with fellow Canarians. A few of us were blessed enough to spend the entire weekend with the Smiley family.
Great.
First photo is at Rockefeller Forest. Yeah.
So cool. Yeah, that's part of the fun thing about these Canary Crime meetups that producer Ciara is putting on. They always take place at some sort of, conspiracy relevant or elite relevant landmarks. They had it at the Grassy Knoll in Dallas, and now the Rothschilds Rockefeller Forest. I did not know there was a Rockefeller Forest.
Yeah, well, they got a lot of things. But they did a good job of covering up the children's faces with emojis and other kittens and potatoes.
Cat with googly eyes. Very cute. Yeah. Looks like a fun crew, man.
Yeah.
And that's cool. They got to spend a lot of time with the Smiley Pants over there, created and runs the Canary Cry community,
right?
Which a lot of people are enjoying.
And the second photo here is from the same crew at a table playing the conspiracy theory game.
Ooh, oh. What is the conspiracy theory game?
Is it a card game? Oh, you know what?
What is...
somebody sent me a conspiracy. I wonder if it is that game. It's like hold on, I'm going to go grab it. You talk for a second here.
Okay. Well, there's an image here of, not only did they go adventuring into the forest, but also gathered together to play some, looks like a card game, conspiracy theory game. Looks like some people tuned in on a Zoom call there. Looks like a blast. This is always fun, seeing people get together, especially Canarians. And this is the thing, folks. If there's a Canary Cry meetup going on around you, I highly suggest you making the time and effort to make it out. As we always hear from these events, people are having a great time connecting to weirdos, other Canarians, just like them, and having a chance to not just meet face to face with people who aren't going to be triggered by the fact that they can see your mouth, but be able to talk about all sorts of fun stuff and just fellowship. It's very important.
And I think they're doing it across with Zoom too. There's like some people on Zoom on a computer, but I think the game they're playing here, if I'm not mistaken, is this game here I'm holding up for people watching here with the all-seeing eye. It's called the Conspiracy Theory Travel Edition.
Fun.
Discover a world of internet conspiracies, aliens, Naruto running, Bigfoot, JFK, time travel, cloned rappers, secret CIA programs. Somebody sent this to me. I've been meaning to respond to them and let them know that I got it.
Yeah, we need to thank them.
I know.
Thank you very much for sending.
I know. I need to get back to them. But yes, I think that's what they're playing. I recognize the cards. That's why I was prompted.
Cool.
So
Fun.
there you go. Yeah.
So there you go.
The cool thing about this game, ages 12 and up, 2 to 8 players.
Yeah, well, it looks like there's some younger folks than 12 there. Maybe they're just incredibly smart or incredibly versed in conspiracy theories. And as requested, they sent in an audio meetup report. Let's see what they had to say.
What up? This is B-Dubs. We're hanging out here. Came all the way from FEMA Region 10 to stay in FEMA Region 10. We got some like-minded folks hanging out here. And we're walking amongst the giant trees. And I'm going to pass the phone around and people can say hello if they're interested.
Smiley Pants here. Hey guys. This is Rocket here from amongst the redwoods. Looking up in wonder and asking that you can come join us.
Got Sergey here. We're in the groves of Northern California here, which naturally are bohemian in nature.
The Bohemian Club, as you say, the Bohemian Club? Yeah. That's where all those rich Republicans go up and stand naked against redwood trees, right? I've never been to the Bohemian Club.
But you can't accuse us of gathering here for nefarious reasons because we're not naked Republicans.
So this is Mrs. Smiley Pants, and I just wanted to add that we are at the Rockefeller Forest, which I felt was very appropriate.
Good attention to detail.
This is Ciara. I'm a head out.
We'll leave you with this. Think outside the cage and meet up.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Awesome.
Yeah, B-Dubs put that little thing together for us, so thank you very much. Always, I like that. If you're doing a meetup, just they put some work into editing and putting in some clips and things there for some relevant. I can imagine if they said we ain't no naked Republicans, I would have been very confused. Was that Bill Clinton?
I was going to say I didn't realize Bill Clinton was at our meetup. That's troubling. He was reciting his old press conference, blaming Republicans as being the only type to
go to Bohemian Grove. That is so strange and very ironic coming from him.
I don't go to Bohemian Grove, but I do meet up with Jeffrey Epstein in the White House.
Yeah, Lolita Express is more my vibe. Okay. Well, that's very fun. And thank you to everybody, all those Canarians. Super fun. We can't wait to hear more meetup reports from other meetups going on around the world. Gons. Speaking of which,
real quick,
they may have... What?
I'm sorry. Ciara in the chat is mentioning how they don't always have B-dubs to help edit everything. Yeah. But, you can literally, if you can use somebody's phone, you use the record app or something, it's very simple to do. And even if it's not edited, we can make it
also,
work.
I mean, we're very thankful for the editing work by B-dubs, but yes, no need to always edit it if it's too much. Even if you have no editor, just use your voice memo thing and pass the phone around. If it needs to be edited down for time, we'll do that on our side.
We could do it on our side.
But it's just nice to hear from everybody and tell us what you're up to at those meetups. Now, if you want to meet up with some fellow Canarians, we've got some going on next month on the 21st is the Florida meetup. After that, in June 26th will be the Southern California meetup. July 24th is the Arizona meetup, and on 9/11 they'll be meeting up in Missouri. So if you are in Florida, SoCal, Arizona, or Missouri, and I think they're adding one, aren't they?
Ohio. October 30th.
Okay, Ohio, October 30th. So there you go. If you're in Ohio, Missouri, Arizona, Florida, Southern California, send an email to producer Ciara at CiaraLauren93. That's CiaraLauren 93 at gmail.com. You can get some details and get hooked in to know where to show up for these meetups. We're very excited about it, and everybody who goes always has something nice to say. You can also learn more about this at canarycry.community. That's right, it's a real URL. Producer Smiley runs this the Canary Cry social media platform there. It's not connected to Facebook, no big algorithms, no data harvesting, no nothing, just Canary Cry folks getting together, talking about whatever they want, fellowshipping, Canary Cry Gamers Guild. There's a foodies group, as well as plenty of conversation about the Bible and conspiracy theories and everything. canarycry.community. And you can hook up with producer Ciara there to learn more about the meetups.
Yep, there you go. And you can go to canarycrynewstalk.com. The list of this list of dates will also be there on the flyer in the show notes.
Okay, sounds good. What do you think? Are we ready to wake up?
We're ready to wake up.
Yes, it's wake up time.
Hey, yo, wake up.
Yes.
It's Latin for many.
Tick.
Now suck your blood.
Politics.
Your blood.
Okay, folks, well, we're going to check in with some political happenings. But first, well, this is included in political happenings, but you hear me get very anxious about making sure that you follow us in multiple locations on the internet to catch the live stream, and also on top of, make sure you follow the podcast stream on your favorite podcast catcher. Just search Canary Cry News Talk. I'm pretty sure we're in almost all of them. But a little heads up to the Twitch users. This is a story from the New York Times. The headline, Twitch, where far-right influencers feel at home. Dun, dun, dun. What's the biggest political surprise of 2021? Not the Democrats' upset wins in Georgia, flipping the Senate in their favor. Not President Biden's leftward swerve. How about the fact that after he was kicked off Twitter and Facebook, former President Trump pretty much just went away. He didn't start his own social media company, as some close observers thought he might, and didn't mount a major public battle.
I thought we were waiting for that to launch here in the next couple
Yeah, well,
months.
this is the New York Times,
Oh,
so
so they're
there's
not
lots of
informed.
jumping to conclusions. There's lots of political speak. There's lots of demonizing the other, the right. There's lots of all that kind of stuff.
Their art image for the header here is the Twitch logo with the red hat. It doesn't say Make America Great Again.
No, just a standard
just a red hat
baseball
with an American
cap.
flag on the side. But
yeah, which is strange. They kind of wimped out.
Yeah,
I'm
they
assuming because maybe the Make America Great Again hat is that image is copywritten or something.
Trademarked. Yeah. I don't know.
Anyways, he didn't start his own social media company as some close observers thought he might, and he didn't mount a major public battle to get his accounts reinstated. He just quietly retreated for now to Mar-a-Lago. Be honest, did you ever think that would happen?
Oh gosh, get out of here.
Oh my god, it's so gross. I mean, do they really talk to themselves like this?
Probably.
I'm talking about Democrats, I guess, or progressives or leftists. Still, the behavior of one man, no matter how famous, no matter how formidable a troll, does not determine the behavior of others. And as Twitter, Facebook, and other platforms have cracked down on misinformation, the internet's younger and sprier purveyors of far-right conspiracy theories have moved elsewhere. One platform that has particularly attracted them is Twitch, an Amazon-owned live streaming video site that our tech reporter Kellen Browning describes in a recent article as, quote, a new mainstream base of operations for many far-right influencers. You know, the sad thing is we have to talk about this because at first glance, just, some Gen Z NPC type in some warehouse of censorship will just assume that we're far right, which is far from the truth. But many have been drawn to Twitch partly because it allows broadcasters to accept donations on the platform while they stream. Not us, baby. No corporate money. You got to go straight to the source. To get a sense of how popular Twitch is becoming among the far right commentariat, and why, I spoke to Kellen about his piece. Here's what he had to say. Now they move into sort of like an interview platform. So here, let me play the role.
Hi, Kellen. So you're right that as many social media platforms clamped down on hate speech and misinformation around the 2020 election, a number of far-right content creators moved over to Twitch. What was appealing to them about the platform?
Can't do that forever. In one sense, I was appealing simply because it was one of the few mainstream platforms left to them after being barred from places like Twitter and YouTube. But also, Twitch draws millions of people to the site each day, many of them young men. So they could... What a general statement. Many of them young men. Not even most, not, just like, yeah, there's a lot of, half of the world. Some of them go to this website. So they could attract far larger audiences than they were getting on smaller fringe sites. By the way, I point that out because it's just such a funny leftist thing to point out. Young men, the power centers of society. I don't know if some expected they would be raking in thousands of dollars when they first joined, but I'm sure that doesn't hurt either. Twitch makes it easy for its streamers to get paid through the site or to link to outside websites and payment services on sites like Twitter. Members of the far right would have to build an audience and spread propaganda to interest people, then direct them to a different location where they could donate money. On Twitch, they could do both at once.
Ooh. One major concern among those who study misinformation in social media is that the loudest voice often gets the most attention. Not necessarily a great thing for civil debate.
Again, ironic. This is coming from the New York Times, but
in the case of far-right Twitch users, do we see a correlation between the outlandishness of people's claims and the amount of money that broadcasters bring in?
Definitely, because people get invested in the ever-growing conspiracies and in supporting the people who spread them. They're incentivized to keep coming back to learn more and continue to subscribe and donate. I'll share a quote from Joanne Donovan, a Harvard University researcher I spoke with for this article. She said that the audience can sometimes have a negative effect on the content creators because they're continuing to demand wilder falsehoods and crazier ideas to further the story they're being spun. So the creator feels the need to keep raising the bar. What imaginary world are they crafting for us here? I mean, maybe that happens, I guess.
It probably does happen, but to some degree. I mean, we saw it with some of the people that really picked up the Q train about a year ago.
Yeah.
Explode in popularity on YouTube. But even when that was happening, I believe you and I were the ones saying, like, number one, this is suspicious. And number two, I think they're getting ready to shut out all these accounts down. They're like using it to identify who is on the far right.
I guess I'm sensitive while reading this because I feel like, again, to the unobservant censorship operator, that we could be wrapped up in this, which is just incorrect and specious. Yeah. Quote, "It's a really difficult phenomenon to watch," she said. "You find people who are now financially dependent on making new content every day that is somehow more salacious, more inciting, more hateful than the day before in order to compete with other content creators that are now coming into that space."
That is such a warped. They must. First off,
I know.
Who are they talking about? I don't know. They don't mention any names here.
I don't really know either. I'm trying to think. Like, here's again. I realize I'm probably being sensitive because I'm afraid that we'll get wrapped up in this or like grouped with this group. That's why we read and comment directly from mainstream media sources. We're not making up our own stuff. We're not searching the depths of some blog for the craziest ideas. You don't need to do that. All the craziest ideas are right in mainstream sources, like the New York Times.
Somebody, I think, listed a few here.
Okay.
Sorry,
well,
I'm scrolling through.
What do you mean listed a few? Who?
The people on Twitch that are considered far right. Words create vibration. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, let me be clear. I guess this sort of thing does happen. And yes, you're right. We've seen people, I guess, who are in similar spaces as us really kind of go off the deep end. We've made a really intentional decision to not make that our thing. That is where, you get kind of wrapped up in just like repeating whatever Lynn Woods says or, getting into that whole thing when, we've been specifically anti that sort of not because anti as in we're against it. It's just baseless.
It's hard to verify any of it.
Conspiracy theories.
Because usually it's like, an insider that knows someone said that the Suez Canal was stopped because they were, getting pedophiles out or whatever.
It's the some guy said something.
Yeah,
and now we're saying it to you.
And we're not. It's not that it couldn't be true. It's just that there's just absolutely no way to verify it. And so it becomes it almost becomes just gossip.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to describe it. Yeah, this gossip sort of thing. Or, if it's just a story about, I don't know, some whatever, call it PCR tests or something. If you're not bringing the sources like we do, then again, it's just sort of, here's a thing I heard and repeating. Anyways, let's move on. Last year, Twitch actually took the lead on moderating President Donald Trump's public posts, temporarily suspending him for hateful content. Well before Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, it doesn't matter. Conduct.
Well before Twitter and Facebook kicked him off their platforms, but now Twitch actually houses a number of creators who are no longer welcome on those social networks. Twitch hasn't established a clear policy on misinformation, so how is it moderating content these days? And I am curious how they're moderating content. It's a good question, especially because Twitch has been so clear that it is, quote, not a free speech platform, according to its chief executive, Emmett Shear. I know that Twitch is working on a misinformation policy. Absent that, the service is using It's, quote, hateful conduct policy, which is pretty broad and recently rolled out a new policy that lets it take action against people who commit violence or crimes in real life. Whoa, big step there, Twitch. Or are members of hate groups. Despite all this moderation, though, dozens of these channels are still online. Dozens.
Well, okay, hold on, because hate groups, according to who, number one, that's kind of important. But
yeah,
also
these official FBI hate groups.
No, it's probably like the what's the name? Forget the name. Not the ADL, but the
ACLU.
ACLU, thank you. Yeah. And plus, despite all this moderation, though dozens of channels are still online. Well, it's all based on this guy's interpretation of what a hate group is.
Well, who knows? Who knows what he's... Yeah. Twitch does have algorithms that can filter inappropriate language in streamers' chats. We do see that. The AI mods on Twitch are extreme. Yes. And people think that we're... Just a little thing here. We get lots of notes.
We did get a note recently.
People very angry saying that they're going to unsubscribe because we censored them. We don't touch the chat, folks. If you're getting censored in chat, that's something on the platform, just so you know. And streams have human moderators as well, but Twitch still relies on users and streamers to report misconduct. Also, the live, spontaneous, and fleeting nature of Twitch streams probably makes them tougher to police than something like Twitter. And as Twitch noted to me, those qualities also make misinformation broadcasts on Twitch less likely to go viral. That's true. You really don't go... There is no such thing as going viral on Twitch, really. You identify a number of relatively prominent Twitch users who are affiliated with the QAnon conspiracy theory. Who are some of the major examples? Okay, we're dropping names. Some names here. Some of the biggest names are Terpishore Maras Lindemann, who streams every day and often gets 3,000 or 4,000 live viewers. Wow, that's a lot. Millie Weaver and a man who goes by Red Pill 78 or Zach Payne. Okay. What?
Well, I mean, I know about Millie Weaver, obviously, and Red Pill 78. I don't know who Terpsichore Maras Lindemann is.
Yeah, me neither. Miss Maras Lindemann focuses a lot on mask mandates and election falsehoods and has made the most money on Twitch of the people we looked at. Ms. Weaver, a former InfoWars correspondent, is a bit newer to the platform and focuses on election conspiracies and vaccines. Mr. Payne often directs audience members to other QAnon-related sites and methods to donate and deals with some of the bedrock QAnon conspiracies, like the idea that children are being killed to harvest a chemical compound called adrenochrome. And that's it.
That's the article.
That's the article.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. Well, very helpful.
Yeah, but this kind of serves as a bedrock because I actually did get a call from one of our producers, I would say, who is very close to the Twitch industry and did give us a warning that they are definitely cracking down, and there's a very good chance that they will crack down on us.
Great.
Wrongly, albeit we are not QAnon conspiracy theorists or far-right people. But you know what? Sometimes the establishment wants to – anybody trying to disconnect from the left-right paradigm and not obey with the division of information are just as much of a threat. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but we'll see what happens. So just another reason – we love our Twitch group over there, a great group of live viewers, but you're also going to want to follow on DLIVE and YouTube. We're running out of places that are safe for people. And again, we just read mainstream news. That's all we do. We're not here to spread any baseless conspiracy theories, but of course, there's always a chance we'll get lumped in with that group. I think for a lot of the sort of humans who do the moderating, I think it's more of a tone thing that sort of triggers them. But hopefully whoever's over at Twitch will be a little bit more diligent and actually listen to the content while they make that decision.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm checking to see if our DLive stream is working because it's telling me it's not.
I've not seen any DLive chatters today.
It looks like for whatever reason, it's not working today.
Oh boy. Well, so this person who gave me the warning about the Twitch thing did say there's a good chance that it will start sort of a domino effect because Twitch is, sort of in the words of this article, the last holdout for the far right streamers.
Oh, gosh.
That if they take action, it might inspire places like DLive and stuff to do so. I don't know if that'll actually happen, but that was a concern. So I don't know, man. We got to start hooking up other services.
We need to really figure out our own server system.
We do.
I mean, that's
working
rough,
on it.
but
yeah. We are working on it. So yes, and sort of on the new iteration of Canary Cry News Talk, hopefully we'll be able to just do all the things that we do, just right on our own website. Don't have to worry about any third-party people.
Looks like Rumble is offering live stream according to Shanovision on Twitch there. So everyone's moving to Rumble.
Yeah, Rumble. I think they just added it. Rumble, Odyssey just added it.
Yeah, we're on Odyssey.
Does BitChute, do they do live stream or is that just upload?
So. I think it's just upload.
All right. Well, there you go. If you're out there and you appreciate the show and you want to make sure to keep getting the live streams, the best way, if some sort of apocalyptic thing happens and we have no live streaming platforms or you don't know where we moved to, it's a very good idea to join the mailing list because that is sort of the last bastion of communication that we would have. So if you're listening live right now and you are not on the mailing list, trust me, we are very bad at sending out emails. Any sort of marketing email. We're not going to spam you. We're not going to do nothing like that. But you will be on the, you'll get communications when we open up to streaming on new platforms. Join the mailing list by heading to canarycrynewstalk.com and click into one of the episodes and scroll. You'll see a place to put in your email for the mailing list. And I'm telling you, I mean, you might feel like, oh, I'll do it later, or, oh, it's not a big deal. I'll just figure it out. I mean, that's fine if you want to do that. You just probably someday will never see us again. So please go join the mailing list. It's very important.
All right. Well, back to Biden.
Got hairy legs. Got hairy legs. Come on, man.
Oh, dang. I wanted to say one thing.
Okay.
Because this is the New York Times, so Twitch is owned by Amazon, owned by Jeff Bezos, who owns Washington Post.
Right.
And so I also think that this is New York Times doing a little bit of a hit piece on Bezos to, take a dent out of Washington Post, or at least cause some trouble for that whole business structure. So, whether or not Twitch really poses this big threat to our democracy, this is really just intra-news corporation bickering is what we're seeing here.
A little slap fight.
Yeah.
Okay, well, over here on what is this website? StarExponent.com.
Ooh.
All right.
What is that?
I don't know.
Okay.
Well, I'll get to it. Biden to propose free preschool as speech details emerge. Washington, President Joe Biden will call for free preschool for all 3- and 4-year-old children, a $200 billion investment to be rolled out as part of his sweeping American Families Plan being unveiled Wednesday in an address to Congress. That's today. The administration said the historic investment would benefit 5 million children and save the average family $13,000. It calls for providing federal funds to help the states offer preschool with teachers and other employees earning $15 an hour. Whoopee! Quote, these investments will give American children a head start and pave the way for the best educated generation in U.S. history, the administration said.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. The new details are part of the Biden's $1 trillion plus package, an ambitious next phase of his massive infrastructure investment program. This one focused on so-called human infrastructure. I don't know if I like the sound of that, human infrastructure. Childcare, healthcare, education, and other core aspects of the household architecture that undergird everyday life for countless Americans. Together with Biden's American Jobs Plan, a $2.3 trillion infrastructure investment to be funded by a corporate tax hike, they add up a whopping $4 trillion effort to fulfill his campaign vow to build back better. The American Families Plan would be paid for by hiking taxes on the wealthiest 1% of Americans, in keeping with the president's vow not to raise taxes on those making less than $400,000 a year. Ahead of Wednesday's speech, lawmakers have been pushing to make sure key priorities are included. A group of leading centrists and progressive Democrats met late Tuesday with the White House to discuss its priority of making permanent the child tax credit, which is increased to as much as $300 a month as part of a COVID-19 relief package. Right now, that benefit expires in 2022, and Biden has suggested extending it to 2025. Quote, "We're hopeful," said Senator Sherrod Brown of Ohio, the chairman of the Banking Committee and advocate for a permanent child tax credit. Quote, "We want it to be permanent because it's so important for so many people's lives." House Speaker Nancy Pelosi appears to have secured one top priority for Democrats, lowering the cost of buying health insurance under the Affordable Care Act. Biden's plan is expected to extend the enhanced health insurance subsidies that has been approved as part of the COVID-19 relief, rather than allowing them to expire in 2022, according to a Democratic aide granted anonymity to discuss private conversations. But another key priority of Pelosi and Democrats, lowering prescription drug costs. Didn't Trump do that?
Yeah, and Biden raised them again.
Yeah. Is not expected to be in the package, the aide said.
Yeah, of course.
Also unlikely to make the final draft is a push from progressives led by Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont to reduce the Medicare eligibility age, which is now set at 65, and expand Medicare's benefit to include access to dental, vision, and hearing aid care for seniors. Sanders vowed Tuesday to add those provisions once Congress begins drafting the legislation. Quote, "The bill that we're going to be writing will include negotiations with pharmaceutical industry to lower drug prices, raising substantial sums of money, and using that to expand Medicare," Sanders said at the Capitol. The president's speech and the rollout of the American Families Plan come as Biden is marking his first 100 days in the White House, a rare moment for congressional action. Democrats narrowly control the House and Senate, giving the president's party a full sweep of power for the first time in decades. While Biden is determined to reach out for bipartisanship, Republicans in Congress have largely panned his proposals as big government spending and vowed to oppose them. Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell called Biden's administration the, quote, "bait and switch presidency," for talking up bipartisanship but then leaving Republicans behind to negotiate legislation only with Democrats. Okay, we get it. We just back and forth there.
What is the big thing here?
The big thing here is that kids are ages 3 and 4 are gonna have free preschool, and as we know, nothing is free.
Oh, it's gonna be federal preschool.
Federal
pre-kindergarten brainwashing.
Complete brainwashing. Oh, bring your kids, their 3 and 4-year-olds, for free, and they even suggest it to be the best educated generation in U.S. history. But in reality, it's going to be the best propagandized generation, because if you're going to be put in school for free, government-sponsored schools, I doubt it's going to be for the betterment of their critical thinking skills.
Dang, there's something floating around on the edges of my mind of a conversation I just heard. And nuts. We might have to return to this on a later date, because I was just listening about some studies regarding, I believe it was actually a Biden. It was including Biden. Biden supported it in some way or another. Some special Head Start program that included this federal preschool for low-income families because of the education gap that was happening. And they found out that it helped their education level for like the first year. And then a year later, it just nothing was different. As far as this early education thing, it got them through a year that they were slouching, but it did not improve overall education after a year, something like that. I need to re-get the details, but it is part of this sort of, I mean, I don't want to call it some big lie, but it clashes with this research I was just looking into where, handing your children over to a federal employee for a couple of years before they start regular school is not necessarily the benefit, the big leap in life that it's cracked up to be.
Here it is. I found it.
Oh.
I'm good, bro. This is
the
good. Heritage Foundation. I don't use Google. The Heritage Foundation Head Start Impact Evaluation Report finally released. This was back in 2013 because it looks like they had something similar here. In 2008, the Department of Health and Human Services completed data collection for its third grade follow-up study of Head Start, a federal preschool program designed to improve the kindergarten readiness of low-income children. Let me get to the results here. Okay, so the timing of the release raises questions about whether HHS was trying to bury the findings in the report, which shows, among other outcomes, that by third grade, the $8 billion Head Start program had little to no impact on cognitive, social, emotional health, or parenting practices of participants. On a few measures, access to Head Start had harmful effects on children.
Oh my gosh.
There you go.
Yeah, so there you go. Federal preschool. It was already tried out and in some cases had damaging effects on the children. Nobody could have guessed that.
Alarmingly, access to Head Start for 3-year-old group, which is what they're talking about here, the 3 and 4-year-old, had a harmful effect on the teacher-assessed math ability of these children once they entered kindergarten.
Right. Yeah, that was another big one. It actually harmed them. It harmed their grades, and it's no surprise that it's in math because math is racist.
Teachers reported that non-participating children were more prepared in math skills than those children who participated in Head Start. Head Start also had little to no effect on other socioeconomic health or parenting outcomes of children practicing the program. So there you go. There's a study from almost a decade ago that says this thing doesn't work.
Yeah,
but Biden's going to push it through.
The science behind exactly what Biden is pushing is completely bunk. It's not only does it not help, but it's actively harmful.
Hey, Biden.
Science is truth.
Listen to the science.
Wow, look at that. That was great teamwork, Gons.
Yeah, I know. That was, yeah.
Boy, it's really a productive segment, man.
Yeah, well, there you go. Is this just being available, or is this going to be a mandatory thing, do you think?
I think it's going to, well, since Democrats have majority, it looks like they're going to push it through, and we're going to have a generation of kids.
Is it like a kindergarten? Like your parents go to jail if they don't send you to this federal preschool?
Well, I'm sure you can still go to, you can take your kids to public school or homeschool. Yeah, it's not a mandatory thing. Okay. But their focus is low income families and see, it's always like this. It's always like the intentions are always kind of good. Like, oh, we're trying to help out the poor, the families that are struggling, and yeah, why not? Governments come in and help out. But it never ends well. It's always they always take advantage of situations like this. But
yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Nothing else on that. I'll leave the link. I'll put the Head Start impact evaluation link in the show notes for
that's great. Another great resource. Head over to canarycrynewstalk.com after the show, and yes, now with your your NPC friends, you can show them what Biden is planning on doing, and then you can directly show them the science behind what he's doing.
Yeah, Bamster Hoy says their intentions are never good, never ever. Yeah, I get that. I think what they're in their delusion, so to speak, their intentions sound good. They give it lip service, like, "Oh, we're trying to help."
I mean, I don't want to push back too hard, but I think the problem is their intentions are good, and people let it slide because their intentions are good. You know, they just want their children to be, well, I guess good in this sense is a subjective thing.
Yeah,
they
it's a little
think
subjective.
They think federal mind control is a good thing, whereas of course we disagree.
All right.
Okay, you want to talk about Newsom a little bit?
Of course I do.
It's Newsom science, baby!
CalMatters.org, recalling a California governor, explained.
Yeah, this is good. I'm glad we're going through this because I was just talking to a producer yesterday, kind of trying to figure out where they are in the process and what does this actually look like.
So this came out in January, but it looks like it was updated a couple days ago, which is why we have it here. I'll try to get through it as quickly as possible here. So it says Governor Gavin Newsom is fighting for his political life. He's working to fend off a recall that began as a far-fetched effort by Republican activists that has turned into a credible campaign that could throw the Democrat out of office.
Sweet.
It's just credible now. It's hard to fathom in this deep blue state. Deep state, where Newsom clobbered his 2018 GOP opponent, although his job approval among voters has plunged from its high in the early months of the pandemic. But the coronavirus pandemic shifted California's political landscape in two significant ways. It prompted a judge to give recall supporters more time to collect signatures, keeping their campaign alive long enough to gain momentum. And it led Newsom to enact a slew of new restrictions to curb the spread of the virus that have frustrated some Californians and energized recall backers. The recall petition doesn't say a word about the pandemic. It was written before the virus upended normal life, but it gained a surge of signatures after news broke in November that a maskless Newsom joined lobbyists for a dinner party at the posh French Laundry restaurant,
Nice.
even though he was telling Californians to mask up and avoid socializing. The count grew as the state's unemployment system paid out billions to fraudsters, and its chaotic COVID vaccine distribution left people scrambling for shots. With many schools, churches, and businesses closed by Newsom's stay-at-home order, the recall that began as a conservative rebuke of his progressive policies has morphed into a referendum on his pandemic response. So, is it election year again in California? Will you be asked to toss a governor just a year shy of the end of his term? It's now all but certain because recall supporters have submitted the signatures necessary to get it on the ballot. Here's
just in the nick of time.
Yeah,
huh?
just in the nick of time. Actually, it was before that. But here's everything you need to know about recall election in the Golden State. How does recall work? California is one of 19 states that allow voters to remove state officials before the end of their term. No reason is necessary. The only requirement to put a recall on the ballot is enough voter signatures. That number must be 12% of voters in the last election for the office. It must include voters in at least 5 counties. The magic number for Newsom's would-be recallers, 1,495,709 valid signatures. Election officials announced on April 26th that the recall campaign submitted 1,626,042 valid signatures, enough to qualify for the ballot. State officials must complete a few more steps to finalize the process, and then, first, an election will be held later this year. A date depends on when various preliminary steps are done, but would likely be in the fall. 2, voters will be asked 2 questions. Do they want to recall Newsom? Yes or no? And if more than 50% of voters say yes, who should replace him? This is where things get strange. There's no limit on the number of candidates who can run to replace an official on the recall ballot. And whoever gets the most votes wins, even without a majority.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's entirely possible that someone could be elected in a recall while winning less than half the votes. That's what happened in 2003 when then Governor Gray Davis was recalled by 55% of voters. More than 100 people ran to replace him, carving up the votes and allowing action movie star Arnold Schwarzenegger to win with 48.6% support. So what comes next?
That's very interesting. That makes it a fairly achievable goal.
Yeah, I know. This is why Caitlin has his hat in the ring.
Don't bother.
So what comes next? It's confusing. Even though local election officials have said they've counted enough valid signatures to trigger a recall election, There's a lot of bureaucratic steps before an election can take place. Here's a look at the process that will unfold over the next few months. 1. Verify signatures. Election officials in all 58 counties check their signatures on recall petitions and submit monthly reports to a Secretary of State tallying how many signatures are valid. They have to complete the final count by April 29th. That's tomorrow. Once they tell the Secretary of State they have at least 1,495,709 valid signatures, the recall will be one important step closer to reality, but it still has a few procedural hurdles to get before it's official. 2. Let voters withdraw signatures. State law gives voters a chance to remove their signatures from the petition if they want. Hypothetically, this could keep the recall from reaching the ballot, though it seems unlikely enough people would change their minds. Still, Democrat Don Pirata, a former state Senate leader, has launched an effort to try to identify who signed and ask them to withdraw their signatures. This period lasts from April 26th to June 8th. Wow, got a little bit there. Number 3, determine cost of recall. If the recall still has enough valid signatures after the removal period, the state's Department of Finance calculates the cost of putting on the election. Then the legislature's budget committee reviews it. The California Target Book, a guide for political insiders, estimates that these two steps could go from July 6th to September 16th, though the recall campaign believes they could be completed sooner. Newsom said a recall election would cost $81 million in his official response to the petition last year.
Which is pennies. Compared to his governorship has cost Californians.
Yeah, billions to criminals and to China.
Yeah.
Number 4, set date for election. I don't think I need to read that. I think we get it. Number 5, candidates decide to run. Candidates for governor must be a U.S. citizen, registered to vote in California, and have not been convicted of a felony involving bribery or embezzlement. But apparently you can run over people. All it takes to run is paying a filing fee of about $4,000 or submitting signatures from 7,000 supporters. Candidates to replace.
Or, that's interesting.
Yeah, or.
You can
candidates
pay
to replace
or play.
Yeah. Probably good to do both, though, if you want a chance. Sure. Candidates to replace Newsom have until 59 days before the election to file the required paperwork. And then vote, which is pretty self-explanatory. How do officials verify signatures on recall petitions? This is a really long article.
No, that's a separate article.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a totally separate article. But I think just to go back a little bit, one thing people are interested about is the set date for election. It needs to be within 60 to 80 days from the certification, which would be around September 17th. And the election would be mid to late November this year.
Okay. Now, these aren't different articles. They're different segments of this big, gigantic article. There's a section here. So is Newsom's support eroding? And it says those ratings have since dropped since the pandemic. Newsom remains far more popular than Gray Davis was at the same point in his recall campaign. So there's a little chart here that shows that, Davis was way off the charts in terms of popularity. Newsom still has a majority of at least, what is this? Democrats, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, well, okay. There you go.
Who might replace Newsom? Caitlyn Jenner, a reality TV personality and former Olympic athlete, has launched a campaign. John Cox, a Republican businessman who lost to Newsom in 2018. Kevin Falconer, the Republican former mayor of San Diego. He's the guy that cleaned up the streets of San Diego, by the way, the homeless problem in San Diego. And Doug Ose, a GOP former congressman from the Sacramento area, have said they're in. Rick Grenell, a former Trump official from Palm Springs, has hinted that he may be running. After the recall qualifies for the ballot, many other candidates will likely emerge as well. When Gray Davis was recalled in 2003, 135 people ran to replace him, including political novices like child actor Gary Coleman. I remember that. I remember Gary Coleman putting his hat in the ring. Pornographer Larry Flint, one of the unconventional candidates from 2003. Adult film actress Mary Carey says she's running again. Yippee.
Okay.
Former Facebook executive Chamath Palihapitiya said on his podcast that he would put his name in the ballot if the Newsom recall qualifies, but then walked it back a couple weeks later, saying he's not ready to run.
That's a big
Bitcoin guy.
thing to say for a guy like him.
Yeah. It's not clear right now if any Democrats would run to replace Newsom. Quote, anything and everything is on the table, California Democratic Party leader Rusty Hicks said in January. Anything and everything is on the table. You don't have to be a man or a woman.
They're desperate.
You can identify as an inanimate rod, and you can run for the Democrat Party. One theory is that Newsom will be better positioned to beat back the recall if the options to replace him are too conservative for most California voters. There you go. If they want to, quote, if they want to hold on to the governorship, it would be in Democrats' best interest not to put up an alternate candidate, said Democratic political consultant Marva Diaz, an editor of the nonpartisan California Target book, that would allow Democrats to focus on telling voters to vote no on the recall and allow them to steer clear of a confusing message like, vote no on the recall, but if you vote yes, vote for blank. The other theory, quote, it would be political malpractice not to have a Democrat on the ballot on the second question as insurance if Newsom's number worsens, said Mike Madrid, a GOP political consultant not involved in the recall. Oh, okay. David Gilliard, a Republican consultant working on the recall campaign, anticipates a large field of candidates from across the political spectrum. Quote, once it's apparent that a recall is going to be on the ballot, I think there will be major candidates from all parties, even independents. Voters will have lots of choices. I don't think either party can control who will run and not run. And there's some more info here. This is a long article, but there you go. There's your lowdown on the Newsom situation. And we'll see what happens. I don't know that Caitlyn Jenner has a legit shot here. I think there's some... She has competition.
Okay, stop it. We can't do that every single time. I don't know, man. California has precedent for that type of thing, and especially since I barely knew who any of those other people were. You know, if it comes to a popularity contest, I think Jenner could still pull it off. Oh. And it's the weird Republican who is socially liberal. That sounds like even a lot of California Republicans.
Yeah. Well, the Jenner is the rising phoenix. So I think they gave...
It was messaged on The Masked Singer or whatever. The spell has begun.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think I'm almost certain there's some shadowy figures that are, getting ready to put Caitlyn Jenner in office here.
Yeah. All right. Well, sounds good. Enough about that. Okay. What you really want to hear about is Rudy Giuliani and his apartment getting raided.
And his hair dye sweating coming off his forehead.
This is coming from the New York Times.
You love the New York Times.
I know. The headline, federal investigators search Rudy Giuliani's apartment and office.
I know.
Dun, dun, dun. Federal investigators in Manhattan executed search warrants early Wednesday at the home and office of Rudolph W. Giuliani, the former New York City mayor who became President Donald J. Trump's personal lawyer, stepping up a criminal investigation into Giuliani's dealings in Ukraine. 3 people with knowledge of the investigation said. The Ukraine, man, how does it continue to be such a pressure point in the world and especially for the U.S.? It's crazy. Not only Biden, Hunter Biden, Giuliani, Russia, everybody loves Ukraine. The investigators seized Mr. Giuliani's electronic devices and searched his apartment on Madison Avenue and his office on Park Avenue about 6 a.m., 2 of the people said. Executing a search warrant is an extraordinary move for prosecutors to take against a lawyer, let alone a lawyer for a former president. It is a major turning point in the long-running investigation into Mr. Giuliani, who, as mayor, steered New York through September 11th attacks and earlier in his career led the same U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan that is now investigating him. Mr. Giuliani's lawyer, Robert J. Costello, called the searches unnecessary because his client had offered to answer questions from prosecutors, except those regarding his privileged communications with former president. man, lawyers having lawyers. You'd think you'd just lawyer yourself, but I guess it doesn't work that way. Quote, what they did today was legal thuggery, said Costello, and quote, why would you do this to anyone, let alone someone who was the Associate Attorney General, United States Attorney, the Mayor of New York City, and the personal lawyer to the 45th President of the United States? Well, I think that last one really sums up the reason, but okay. The federal authorities have been largely focused on whether Mr. Giuliani illegally lobbied the Trump administration in 2019 on behalf of Ukrainian officials and oligarchs, who at the same time were helping Mr. Giuliani search for dirt on Mr. Trump's political rivals, including President Biden, who was then a leading candidate for the Democratic presidential nomination. So it's funny. They are raiding Giuliani for asking Ukraine about Biden, and Biden's son were the ones actually doing business in Ukraine. This is kind of backwards, but I'm not a professional. The United States Attorney's Office in Manhattan and the FBI had for months sought to secure a search warrant for Mr. Giuliani's phones. Under Mr. Trump, senior political appointees in the Justice Department repeatedly sought to block such a warrant, the New York Times reported, slowing the investigation as it was gaining momentum last year. After Merrick B. Garland was confirmed as President Biden's Attorney General, the Justice Department lifted its objection to the search. While the warrants are not an explicit accusation of wrongdoing against Mr. Giuliani, it shows that the investigation has entered an aggressive new phase. To obtain a search warrant, investigators need to persuade a judge they have sufficient reason to believe that a crime was committed and that the search would turn up evidence for the crime. Spokesmen for the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office declined comment. The investigation of Mr. Giuliani grew out of a case against two Soviet-born men who aided his mission in Ukraine to unearth damaging information about Mr. Biden and his son Hunter, who was on the board of a Ukrainian energy company. The prosecutors charged the two men, Lev Parnas and Igor Fruman, with unrelated crimes in late 2019, and a trial is scheduled for October. While investigating Mr. Giuliani, prosecutors have examined, among other things, his potential business dealings in Ukraine and his role in pushing the Trump administration to oust the American ambassador to Ukraine, which was the subject of testimony at Mr. Trump's first impeachment trial. As he was pressuring Ukrainian officials to investigate the Bidens, Mr. Giuliani became fixated on removing the ambassador, Mary L. Yovanovitch, whom he saw as an obstacle to those efforts. At the urging of Mr. Giuliani and other Republicans, Mr. Trump ultimately ousted Ms. Yovanovitch. As part of the investigation into Mr. Giuliani, the prosecutors have explored whether he was working not only for Mr. Trump, but also for Ukrainian officials or businesses who wanted the ambassador to be dismissed for their own reasons, according to people briefed on the matter. Under the Foreign Agents Registration Act, or FARA, it is a federal crime to try to influence or lobby the United States government at the request or direction of a foreign official without disclosing it to the Justice Department. The prosecutors have scrutinized Mr. Giuliani's dealings with Yuri Lutsenko, one of the officials who helped Mr. Giuliani and his associates in their dirt-digging mission, while also urging them to work to get the ambassador removed. Among other things, the prosecutors have examined discussions Mr. Giuliani had about taking on hundreds of thousands of dollars in apparently unrelated consulting business from Mr. Lutsenko, which resulted in a draft retainer agreement that was never executed. Mr. Giuliani has said he turned down the deal, which would have involved him helping the Ukrainian government recover money it believed had been stolen and stashed overseas. As the investigation heated up last summer, prosecutors and FBI agents in Manhattan were preparing to seek the search warrant for Mr. Giuliani's records about his efforts to remove the ambassador. But they first had to notify Justice Department officials in Washington, according to people with knowledge of the matter. Federal prosecutors must consult Justice Department officials in Washington about search warrants involving lawyers because of concerns they might obtain confidential communications with clients. The proposed warrant for Mr. Giuliani was particularly sensitive because his most prominent client was Mr. Trump. Career Justice Department officials in Washington largely supported the search warrant, but senior officials raised concerns that the warrant would be issued too close to the election, the people with knowledge of the matter said. Under long-standing practice, the Justice Department generally tries to avoid taking aggressive investigative actions within 60 days of an election if those actions could affect the outcome of the vote. The prosecutors in Manhattan tried again after the election, but political appointees in Mr. Trump's Justice Department sought once more to block the warrant. The people with knowledge of the matter said, at the time, Mr. Trump was still contesting the election results in several states, a legal effort led by Mr. Giuliani, those officials noted. So, this brings up an interesting thing regarding Ukraine and why we saw such hesitancy or outright ignorance of the Biden's involvement in Ukraine, which is, it seems as though many members of Congress, and including Giuliani and a number of Republicans, all have weird things going on in Ukraine. And this is the first actual action that has gone against anybody who has had some connection with Ukraine in the recent administrations. So I think there's a lot of people in Congress and a lot of business people and lawyers who are really starting to sweat bullets, because who knows what records are coming out of this search warrant. Yeah, well, it's interesting. There's a lot. I think we're going to continue to see sort of an after effect. Trump's, the people around him, and the various crimes or not crimes that are committed. In this regard, yeah, I don't know. I mean, is anything going to come out of this with Giuliani? I don't know. I mean, this is a big step. It's one thing for an investigation to be opened. There was investigations on the Bidens, which, came out, or I think they're still kind of ongoing. They're just not as aggressive. But, a full search warrant on his home and office, that's a pretty aggressive step. Like they mentioned in the article, it's kind of a next level. So we'll see what comes out. But I would, again, be a little bit fearful, even if I was a Democrat, because again, when it comes to someone as powerful as Giuliani, there's always some sort of life insurance attached, and these people know a lot of things about each other's dealings that they sort of just agree to not talk about. The timing regarding Russia's military buildup on the edges of Ukraine as well is very strange. I mean, what is up with Ukraine? I don't know. The pipelines. Who knows? Pipelines. They're still fighting for not territory. Even to speak about the pipelines. I think we need to go to Ukraine. There's the robot sculptures. Oh, when we talked about the robot sculptures in the Flippy update an episode or two ago, where there's giant robots looming over neighborhoods in Ukraine, I think I failed to mention, I think they're scarecrows. If you saw Russia building a military force outside of your country, and the UN was not coming to your aid, and you don't have the military strength to fight off the Russians, I think building giant mechanized warrior robots, even if they're not functional, but just putting them all around as sort of a scarecrow to scare off any pesky Russians, it's a decent military strategy. Calling Russians birds, eh? Crows, to be exact. Hey, get us in trouble. Some people would think that that's a compliment. Along those same lines here, just real briefly, I'll just mention it. I didn't have it in the notes here, but there is a story out
the man accused of bugging Julian Assange and his lawyers in exchange for payments from Trump financier Sheldon Adelson, was arrested in Spain and suspecting attempt to flee the country.
Oh.
So, it looks like Trump was... I mean, I don't know the timeline. The timeline would matter here. But somebody that was basically spying on Assange was also getting paid from Trump's financier. So,
the dominoes begin to fall.
Yes, Trump will be revealed as a, I don't know,
as exactly what everybody knew he was.
The Russian asset.
Except for not the second coming of Christ.
No.
666.
Just a couple of 666 updates. This is from the expresstribune.com.pk. That's Pakistan.
PK.
666 nabbed for use of unlicensed weapons.
Oh.
And
Where?
Rawalpindi. The Rawalpindi police have taken action against 679 suspects of aerial firing in possession of unlicensed firearms so far this year, a spokesman said on Monday. They arrested 666 people and seized a large number of firearms and ammunition from their possession. The weapons seized include 596 pistols, 44 rifles, 21 Kalashnikovs, 4 carbines, and 68,331 rounds of different calibers. There you go. It's interesting. This is like the third or fourth story that we've mentioned or reported on with the number 666 in relationship to like a gun confiscation story. Kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And another one here. This is from WPRI.com. Rhode Island man killed by LAPD, had previous run-in with North Providence officer. And the story here, North Providence, Richard Solitro Sr. confirmed Monday that his son was the man who was shot and killed by officers in Los Angeles over the weekend. Officers were responding to a call Saturday afternoon when police said a black sedan abruptly pulled in front of them and backed into their cruiser. The vehicle had words and phrases written all over it, including King Satan 666.
What the heck?
Police said the driver, later identified as Richard Solitro Jr., got out of the car and started walking toward them with his hands hidden behind his back. The officers gave him commands, which he did not follow. He started counting down, saying 3, 2, 1, as he started to pull his hands from his back to the front. Police said Sotero Jr. was wearing a bulletproof vest. The officers were forced to open fire, hitting and killing him. But yeah, of course, this is a white man, so we're not going to hear about all the outrage of the police brutality. But, you know, where's the Satanists' Lives Matter Too crowd? I mean, if he was a Satan guy, King Satan 666 written on his car.
Yeah, he was hoping it would give him some sort of power.
Maybe his own sacrifice was the power.
Ooh.
You know, because
he's a Satanist.
Yeah. A couple more stories before we wrap it up today. I know it's it's not any shorter. I thought it was going to be a little shorter today, and it's not.
No, but we're doing okay on time. But yeah, we're getting towards the end, Sharon.
I got stuff to do here. But a couple Beast System updates.
Speaking of the Beast System, Beast System.
And this, do you want to do this first one from Yahoo News?
It's coming from yahoonews.com. The headline, it's an AP thing. The headline is Egypt archaeologists unearth 110 ancient tombs in Nile Delta. I can't believe that there's still tombs to be found. This is crazy. Egyptian archaeologists unearthed 110 burial tombs at an ancient site in Nile Delta province. The Tourism and Antiquities Ministry said Tuesday the graves, some of which have human remains inside, were found at the Kum El Kulgan archaeological site in Dakalia province, around 150 kilometers northeast of Cairo, the ministry said. They include 68 oval-shaped tombs dating back to the pre dynastic period that spanned from 6000 to 3150 BC, the ministry said. There are also 37 rectangular-shaped tombs from an ancient era known as the Second Intermediate Period, from 1700 to 1500 BC, when the Semitic people of Hyksos ruled ancient Egypt, the ministry said. The remaining 5 oval-shaped tombs date back to the Naqada Third period that spanned from about 3200 BC to 3000 BC. Archaeologists also found human remains of adults and children and funerary equipment and pottery objects in these tombs. The discovery is the latest in a series of archaeological discoveries in recent years for which Egypt has sought publicity in the hopes of reviving its tourism sector. Tourism has been badly hurt by the turmoil following a 2011 uprising and now the coronavirus pandemic. Okay, we found some tombs. What does this have to do with the beast system?
They're going to come back to life, man. I'm just waiting for the the prime minister of Egypt or something. Do they have a prime minister? Maybe a defense minister to
I don't know
speak
actually
in
what
code
they have anymore.
They're going to speak in code. We know what comes next.
Yes,
Dolly the sheep. One of these pictures here of the tomb, it has the skeletons here, and at the top it says KEK 20-21.
Oh yeah,
isn't Kek Pepe the Frog?
Kek is related to Pepe the Frog. Kek was I believe the Egyptian god of chaos.
Yeah,
interesting. Which is why they connected it to Pepe the Frog, sort of part of that whole
chaos magic
worldview.
It's just interesting. Why would they put that there? I'm sure it's not related to the god, but maybe it is. I don't know.
Who knows?
So yeah, there's some pretty gnarly. And there's another one, Kek 20. Maybe that's the area. I don't know. There's a bunch of these photos have Kek written, in the little note.
Kek was Oro is pointing it out on YouTube. Yes, he was the god of chaos, and he had a frog head. He was the frog-headed god, and was he was genderless, or in between genders.
Yeah, see, Revelation, the spirit of frogs. Remember, now. Yes. You won't be confused now.
I'll never forget.
All right, one more story here. This you might be interested in this one, Basil. This one's from San Francisco Chronicle. Burning Man 2021 is officially canceled. But 2022 reservations are on sale for $2,500.
Wow, that's even more expensive than they've ever been. That's crazy.
Burning Man 2021 has officially been canceled. Organizers announced Tuesday, saying uncertainties surrounding the coronavirus pandemic, quote, are impossible to resolve in this time we have. Quote, we have decided to set our sights on Black Rock City 2022, organizers said in an announcement, referring to the temporary city erected in Nevada's Black Rock Desert for the event every summer. Instead, Burning Man is expected to go virtual from August 21st to September 5th. A similar event was hosted last year after the 2020 in-person Burning Man was scratched. Producers for the large-scale festivals, such as the highly anticipated Outside Lands Music and Art Festival in San Francisco's Cisco's Golden Gate Park, have opted to still move forward with their outdoor gatherings, which can attract more than 70,000 people a day to a later date than usual. Burning Man organizers said the logistics involved in pulling the event off this year, along with the permitting process in Nevada, have prevented them from doing the same. Quote, we have heard from many who don't feel ready to come to Black Rock City, organizers said. While we're confident in our ability to get a permit and to safeguard public health, we know that co-creating Black Rock City in 2021 would put tremendous strain on our community while we are still ironing out uncertainty. While no ticket for this year's festival were sold, Burning Man did advertise 1,000 reservations at the cost of $2,500 each for 2 future Burning Man events. Those reservations will roll over into 2022 and 2023, organizers said. Next year's Burning Man is scheduled for August 28th through September 5th.
Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, so you basically can reserve a spot for 2 years in a row all at one time, but there's only 1,000 reservations. That's 1/80th of the entire event. 1,000 people can. That's pretty crazy.
You must be in the ultimate elite to.
Yeah, I was gonna say those are very difficult tickets to get when there's 80,000 of them. Those will sell out in like literally. You'll refresh the page and they'll all be sold out.
Yeah. Are you going to go to the virtual conference?
I don't know. You know, there's
you're equipped.
Carl Tykrib went to the virtual one, I believe, this last year for some of his research. I don't know. I am pretty good at this VR thing now, so it just doesn't sound very fun. But it is interesting because as we've learned this show, being outdoors, you're pretty much not going to catch COVID. And I would say about 99% of Burning Man is all outdoors. So it seems like it would be one of the safer places to be.
But it all depends on the airflow and the...
Oh, there's a lot of airflow out there. We have people asking, is Carl Tykrib's book any good? Yes, I would say it's definitely I would almost call it required reading.
There it is right here, Game of Gods.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
The Temple of Man in the Age of Reenchantment. We need to get Carl back on.
If you do purchase it, send him an email. Tell him you heard it from us.
Yeah.
We don't get paid or anything. It's just a fun way to say hi to him.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. I think that's good.
We did it. We did it.
Okay. All right, folks. Let's see what kind of time. Oh, yeah, we're still over 3 hours. Okay. Yeah. We're consistency. That's good. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. We'll be back on Friday, the 30th of April. That's just in a couple days, folks. So make sure to put it on your calendar, turn on notifications. Don't forget to stop on by. Keep an eye on our social media as well as joining our mailing list so you can always make sure to catch a show if you want to do that. But we'll see you back here on Friday, the 30th, sometime in the morning time, Pacific Standard Time. And remember, we will be needing some producers for that show. Remember, the production doesn't get produced unless the producers do the producing. So if you've been thinking about becoming a producer of the show, now's a pretty good time. We are inching ever closer to that episode 333. When are we going to hit 333? That'll be 1, 2, 3 next Wednesday. Next Wednesday will be episode 333. Dun dun dun. But we still need producers to get us across that finish line. So I want to thank producers of this episode 330. And those producers are Gray Matters, Kate P., Isaac G., Tristan H., Teresa H., Matthew M., Alicia J.R., Melissa T., James H., Cherie H., a lot of H's. Interesting. Shield Labs, Katie R., Michael G., Daniel S., Jack V coming in with our crypto producership. Thank you very much. And those snail mail producers, Sandy and Catherine. Dooley's Mom 8 in the chat there. Thank you all so much for producing this episode. And if you're out there, remember to thank a producer today, or thank God for a producer today. And of course, thanks to all of our artists and jingle makers for their work on this episode. And thank you to the Canary Cry Meetup people for making that little segment for us. We appreciate that very much. Now, here's the thing, folks. If you want to become a producer of the show, there's a couple ways to do that. First, you can head over to patreon.com/CCNT. There's some old bonus episodes on there that are fun. There's about 30 of them, I think, which is totally, worth the producership. Or if you don't like Patreon, that's okay. You can go ahead and head on over to canarycryradio.com/support.
canarycryradio.com/support.
That's right. canarycryradio.com/support. We can't wait to see how the producers come through for Friday's show. And remember, if you're a creative person, you can always produce the show with your talent. Create art, create music, create jingles, all that kind of stuff. Remember, we got the Canary Cry mixtape at the end of this show, so stick around for that. But you can send all of your creations to canarycryradio@gmail.com if you like it easy, or if you like to keep it secret, go ahead and send it to canarycryradio@protonmail.com. That's right, for the encrypted email account. And there you go. Go ahead and do that. But you can also help out the show by just sharing it. Press the share button on your social media. Help spread the word. It's really one of the best ways to help the show out. You can also leave ratings and reviews. We'll be reading ratings and reviews on Friday, and we haven't gotten a whole lot of them since last Friday. So, you might have your own special segment if you leave a rating and a review on Friday's show. So make sure to do that. It's very helpful. Get the algorithms on our side. Or you can just go ahead and send the show to a friend. There's a lot of podcasts out there, and it's hard to choose. But when someone you love or trust sends you a podcast to listen to, you're much more likely to listen to it. And then you'll have something to talk about. Isn't that fun? Imagine being able to talk about Canary Cry stuff, Canary Cry news talk with your friends and family. Well, you can do that. Go ahead and send them an episode. Maybe it's this one. Maybe it's a different one. Whatever it is, just send them a link. They'll be very grateful for it. They're starting to wake up to the fact that the world is not what it seems. We like to call it rattling cages. So if you need any other instructions, here's what you do. You just walk right up to them, you grab them by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right. Just ask Noah. I hear baby back there. I do want to give a shout out to the YouTube chat. There is like a whole clan of people who have changed their name on YouTube to include the word cool. Got Jared Cool, Jackie Cool, Sherry Cool, Amber Cool. So I see you. I don't know why, and I don't know how this benefits anybody.
It's because of Allie's art. That's why.
Oh, because it was cool?
No. Oh, man. No.
Okay, he's getting grumpy, folks. We got to get out of here. He's losing it. We'll just get out of here.
Maybe
Any last words there, Grumpy Gons?
Yeah, I had a scripture here. What was it? And you shall tread down the wicked, for they will be ashes under the soles of your feet on the day when I act, says the Lord of hosts. Malachi 4:3. Beware, enemies.
Yeah. Okay. That's a good one. All right, everybody. Remember, we're going to be back on Friday. That's April 30th. So make sure to be here. And again, follow the mailing list. Do all that good stuff. We'll keep you posted on where we're going to be streaming. So, thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in next time. But until then, think outside the cage.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
I want to shake things up, shake things up. I want to shake things up, shake things up. Leave the bird alone. I want to stir up some controversy. I want to rattle a few cages. I want to rattle a few cages. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. I'm the last angry man. You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man. A crusader for the little guy. Little guy. Little guy. Well, we'll see about that.
Whatever, Illuminati.
Fun fact, I believe it was
Here's another fun fact. Fun fact. Another fun fact.
Brings me back to my Screamo days.
In the future, humans will be confined in a people's zoo.
Come on, man.
I'll keep you safe and warm in my people's zoo.
Aliens.
I'll keep you safe and warm now in my people's zoo. You, yeah, you in my people's zoo. I'll keep the cameras on.
Made by the aliens.
Everybody loves waffles.
It will kill. They are scum.
Stop this progress before it is too late.
You can't handle the truth.
Demonic power!
Look it up.
I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo. I'll make you fat and sassy in my people's zoo.
Are you even woke?
You, yeah, you in my people's zoo.
Nazis are not welcome here. Do not come back, you Nazi psychopaths.